We are live. Welcome to the RedBlue Pod number 69 with a very
Nice.
crowded panel. Thank you for everyone to come tonight. So, tomorrow is Halloween. That's why we do this today. How
Yep.
are you, Cole?
Pretty good. And yeah, tomorrow I also I turned 24, which means I can make all the A24 memes now about it.
Yeah.
You're getting old, bro. Very soon you will
No,
hit
that's
30.
that's not old at all. Apparently. Uh,
Yep.
How are you, Pumpkin?
I'm good too, and I'm excited for Halloween. So yay!
That's good. And by the way, Cole, happy birthday. Anyway,
Thanks.
Right, happy
DC,
birthday!
Yeah.
how are
Happy
you,
birthday,
Thanks.
DC?
Cole. I've been doing pretty bad, and after today, I've been doing awful. But anyways, just trying to hang in there. Trying to do things that make me happy. But yeah.
I think that's the important, trying to make good things you like.
Yeah.
And what about you, Gray? How are you today?
I'm doing great. Nothing to complain about. I'm here. It's almost Halloween. Good times.
Yeah. So I thought we could start with Orange Clockwork, which will be a very interesting topic, I think. So I'm wondering who wants to go first with a orange clockwork
Yeah, a
orange.
clock orange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll start. Wow. It was nothing like I was expecting. Like, like, uh,
What
like
were
I thought.
you expecting? Sorry, I'm
It's fine.
curious.
It's fine. I thought it would have been more like judging from like the title, it didn't really seem like horror based, and I thought it's probably like some like 1900 like British like film because of how the way it sounded, and then immediately when I started watching the movie, and then you see that opening where the guy's just looking at the camera, it's like, oh, it scared me. And I think the reason why is because I was actually watching it in a dark room. But yeah, just already the presence was terrifying, and I thought, so far it's not that bad. It's so far good. And then when you see all the criminal activities that they're committing, oh, okay, so it's like a crime film. This is the stuff you would normally see in like Batman and but Joker and all that stuff. And I was buying into it. The scene in the house took me away, and it was like, okay, I don't even want to watch this for a bit, and had to process. And it was not a bad film. I'd say it was actually a decent film from what I was able to watch, but that house scene completely took me away, and especially when they're like cutting up the clothes, just like it made me like it was like, oh god, and I had to kind of stop for there for a bit, but yeah. Yeah.
1971.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna let someone else speak for now, but overall, I will say it was still enjoyable. I still like some parts, but it took me away really quickly. So that's like its only big negative, and it's a huge one. It's not like one of the worst movies I've seen, but it's not the best. But yeah, I'm gonna let someone else speak for now.
So, Gray, you have seen a Clockwork Orange, right? Because you have seen so many movies.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love A Clockwork Orange. That is just kind of fun hearing the experience that DC went on. It seems like it was quite a journey for you.
Yeah.
Um, it keeps going. It doesn't just stop there, but yeah, man. So it's an interesting flick. So it's a Kubrick one. His films are just different. Visually, there's so many things that he did in this one that are just kind of I don't know, iconic. They just really stick with you. There's a whole bunch of scenes that just like really kind of stick with you. Again, like iconic just kind of comes to mind. But I don't know, just the way that he approaches some of this subject matter. Like, I don't know, the book is dark, but it's not exactly what I would have pictured when I've actually like seen the movie. I would not have put those visuals together. My first experience with it was kind of like DC's. I did also watch it by myself in a very dark room, and yeah, it was interesting. I continued on the journey, and it kept kind of amazing me and challenging me. But yeah, it's just such an interesting kind of concept to be explored on a film, and you do have to kind of get to where DC kind of left off. That can something irredeemable be redeemed? It's a really interesting story. But yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites, but it's a hard one to watch. It's not one that I go back to often. I think I've probably only seen it a handful of times, but it still kind of ranks up there for me. But yeah, so many kind of amazing performances, and the one scene that really sticks out to me is just like the kind of re-education, the eyes being like clamped open and having to actually like, again, as Cole was mentioning earlier, like his eyes are a bit dry. There's a couple methods that you could use to kind of make them not as dry. I don't know. That scene always kind of comes to mind. But yeah, I don't know. Overall, I have a lot of really positive sentiment for this movie, but it's a really dark movie.
Yep.
Yeah, I think those are my kind of initial thoughts on it.
Okay. What about you, Pumpkin? What did you think of A Clockwork Orange?
Yeah, I've watched it many times, and I don't know if it's a movie I enjoy, but it's a very interesting thing. And I actually had a completely different first experience. I think I watched it with my family. So, but yeah, no, it's I don't think it's the kind of fiction you're supposed to idolize or be like hyped about. Like some people definitely are more about the artistic way of it, and I get that, but like it's not an enjoyable, fun type of movie. Also, I do believe that what I was told is that it's based on a book, as Gray said, but more than that, it's based on true events from the author's life. And weirdly enough, you'd think, oh, okay, so it's like his youth. No, he's the author in the movie. His wife got killed in someone who entered their house. And then he writes a book about the assailant, which is a very weird process. And I like that Kubrick really kept that in there. Like, he could have been, oh, it's not important, that's just not. But he really, like the writer character is so important. And also in the book, Alex, the main character, is supposed to be 14, which is just crazy
I
to
thought
me.
it was 15.
Maybe, but like it's too young.
Yeah, well, I know when I was like 14 or 15, for that reason, I dressed up as the character from A Clockwork Orange.
I get it. And also
Different times, as we say.
yeah. But the thing also is that like he's called Alex. Like I think everyone in the world knows an Alex. I know like 5. So it's like he is a very out there character, but he's like it also could be someone you know, which is a weird thing. So it's a haunting movie. Like
You did cut off Pumpkin.
She was talking about haunting, and it kind of ghosted out. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was kind of
Ooh.
Maybe
fainter.
that. Yeah, you're back. There she
Yay.
is. You're back.
all right.
You
So
cut it off at hunting.
sorry. So haunting.
Not your fault. Not your
It's
fault.
a haunting movie that stays with you, and for the better or the worse. Like I knew someone who got traumatized with the song "Singing in the Rain," and so they never wanted to see the movie. And it's such a good movie too. But
Yeah,
Yes.
a lot of people said that now they can't watch Singing in the Rain because of it.
It's so sad. Such a great movie. But yeah, so it's definitely an experience. So I'll leave it there.
I will let Cole talk, and then I will go on.
Yeah, so in the coming weeks or so, we will be not all of them, but Kubrick's most popular and
Nice.
well received films. Yeah, starting with this because yeah, this is like one of my favorites of all time. I don't really have like a unanimous list. It'd be easier if going by years, but I mean, if I would have to try to think of like a number one that just comes to mind off the top of my head, then honestly it might be this. With like how impactful it was to me and how well made it was. Yeah, just a really good like dark dystopian and also even like comedy that really puts you in the mind of a crazy psychopathic killer like this. And yeah, they definitely couldn't make him 14 or 15 in the film. That would be like if they kept the original Stephen King ending in it. But yeah, I think the performance by Malcolm McDowell was career defining and was just so masterful. Kind of sad he didn't really like reach the heights in any other films. It's kind of like a Jack Nicholson, but if he didn't get as many leading roles, I guess. Although he will be in that the Rob Zombie Halloween films as Dr. Loomis, so that's something to keep in note, multi. But yeah, I really just the music is so masterful. It has just the perfect score and rhythm that really sets the tone and mood of what it's going for perfectly with the mental state of the main characters. There's just so many like iconic scenes nowadays, and with the production and everything, and the visuals. Like the visuals are just absolutely perfect in this one for everything they're doing, and the editing is just perfect. Direction, cinematography, set design, makeup, and hairstyling. I think it's just all so well done, and I think it's a very well paced film as well. Uh, like I think this is one of the few films as well where almost every shot has kind of like a certain underlying meaning to it from like what I've seen, even in just like the title sequence with what then happens later on. And yeah, this is definitely not a film everybody will love because of the subject matter, but I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a perfect mix of both like dark while also still being like a bit humorous. It kind of just goes through all the tones, like all like that scene in the near the end with him eating the spaghetti and shit. Oh, that was hilarious. But yeah, think I'll stop there for now, I guess. But yeah, just really love it. That's why I kind of have it as like my header on some of my accounts on Twitter and such. But yeah, what about you, Multi? What did you think?
That's funny. 9 years ago, I was studying in a lot of stuff, and one of the course I had was a cinema course. And we did talk a bit about the movie without really watching the movie. We only took, as an example, the scene where everything goes very fast to show the time going fast. Like, I can't remember the exact um, moment or the exact term, but the moment where
There. Yeah, you mean like I would say like
the fast forward moment,
yeah,
basically.
fast forward is what you call it. Yeah, but
Yeah,
what was it the one with them driving or because there were a few of them?
yeah. Well, the one in the room with a lot of women's, if you know
Ah,
what I
yeah, with
mean.
the two of them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I did add a laugh when I was watching the movie last week because I was like, oh, that was the scene they mentioned in my course nine
Yeah.
years ago, and I also had to laugh because last week in Window to Our Mind, we talked about classical conditioning, and classical conditioning is what they were using to treat the guy and turn him into the guy that throws up when he sees violence and stuff.
Yeah.
Basically, violence making him sick is basically conditioning. which is kind of funny, and it's by luck that the same week I covered that on the other podcast. I watched a movie covering that as well by accident, and that was just funny mentioning. Um, I like that movie. It's not perfect, but I liked it a lot. I can see the appeal, and I can see why people can be um, triggered by this movie because it has a lot of heavy scenes.
Yep.
Um, so I will say my first issue with A Clockwork Orange would be the sound wasn't great since the music did buried some of the dialogue in the opening scene. But that was the only moment in the movie where the sound wasn't that great. But it's still a moment, right? Um,
Yeah. Well, I
next
mean, it
up,
wasn't an issue for me, but I don't know. I guess it's different for everyone, but yeah.
Yeah, could be a limitation of the time too.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Next up would be the group of criminal are one-dimensional. They are just bad, and that's it. That kind of bothered me early in the movie. I was like, oh yeah, they are cartoonish, cartoon uh, villains. Next up would be plot convenience. Two evil cops just happening to bump into the main character. That was like after
Oh wait,
was
you mean
released.
after he got out the two cops?
Yeah, the two cops that basically
I
beat him up.
mean, you have to understand it was a small town, and they see commotion. So yeah, and it's like I think it's more of a plot convenience that the cops happen to be those two, but also a lot of time has passed, and to get into the law enforcement and during that era
Yeah,
and in a lot of places is not that challenging. So
Yep.
yeah. So these are my issues. But I thought this movie was really clever when it came to the narrator. I'm not the biggest fan of voice narrator like that, but this movie used that very well, and I
yeah, and
really
especially
enjoyed
with it
it.
being the main character, like the villain basically of the story. It's like a lot of people kind of some people gave credit to like Elvis a year ago for doing that with the manager, although I thought it was horribly done. But yeah, I mean, this did it long before.
And it's very interesting. As I said, I don't think narrator are that great, but it felt like something they did because they wanted to respect the novel. And a lot of novel they let you dive deep into the character, like what they're thinking and stuff. And having that narrator there is one of the best way to adapt a character style. um it's not my favorite. I'd rather have like two character talking about uh like what they think and why they did something. But in this case, I won't hold it against the movie because I do think it was good. Um, and the idea of people losing free will in the process the guy went into was very interesting because he doesn't really get good. He's forced into becoming good, and that's the idea of this movie. And I really like that approach. It's like, yeah, change should come from within and not from outside. Um, that's very poetic, I think. Um, I will admit the criminal, even if they are one-dimensional, I will say they were entertaining. Even if I don't think they're that great, they were entertaining nonetheless. Um, yeah, Pumpkin, do you want to add something because I see your mic is on?
Yes. Sorry, it's
Oh, all good.
I'd like to say, in my opinion, it's not really like they want to make Alex into a good person. It's that they want him to stop doing evil, which is not the same. And it's more of a like suppression of things than an actual like, oh, we want to save this poor soul or something. It's sort of societal way of just suppressing problems.
That's a very interesting understanding. I like what you brought there.
Yeah, but
Um,
also you mentioned how the characters were kind of one-dimensional. I mean, at the start, yes, but throughout, because we saw just their like all the things they were doing. But I think throughout the film, longer though, we see them not be as one-dimensional once we get to see more about them. Like I think there's a lot that they did with the main character with that, and then with all the supporting characters, kind of shows that they are just really troubled and they're kind of like they're following along, but then throughout the film they get more and more agitated by it, and and with like his abuse towards them and want to kind of like change or stop him and like take over basically. So I mean, I wouldn't say like one dimensional really.
um, yeah. Um, I guess I will also say that his friends are kind of forgettable. I mean, like I
Oh, really? You don't
before
remember
we
Georgie and them?
before we talked, I will be honest. Before we talked, I didn't connect the dot that both cops were actually the friends he had. That's the funny thing. Like when you brought that up, I was like, "Oh, that was the friends." Uh,
Yeah, that's the shock and everything, and why they were doing that, and they were like, telling the stories and everything.
yeah, it doesn't make it better, but that's one thing, I guess. I will also say that the very political driven speech by the end, like when the mayor or something tried to have the guy on his side, that was hilarious. I was like, bruh, it's something that could actually happen in real life. Like someone that just wants to look good on front of the camera, and he's like, oh yeah,
It
yeah.
happens all the time.
Yeah, that's why that was very accurate. I really like that aspect so much. Um, and I will admit the violence in that is of its time. I'm not saying it's bad or good. It's just like it makes that movie more unique than most of the things we get today. Um, so yeah, the characters are also like most of the characters, like the victims, are basically well written because some victims are well written. What I mean by there is there was that case where someone is just generous, so they let them in, and then they do crazy stuff, and then later on we get that girl that says no because some people would say no. So they really take their time to show like different reaction from different people, and that was clever. I thought that was great. It's attention to details, and I liked it. Um, outside of that, um, I don't have much more to say. I had a lot of likes. I really thought that was a solid movie. But yeah, I could go on and on and on about how much I liked it. I don't have much more to say. I'm wondering if any of you would like to add more about A Clockwork Orange.
Not for me.
I guess
I'd like
we
to ask a question.
yeah, you can.
You said you were gonna cover more Kubrick films. Which ones do you have planned? Can you say
Uh,
that or?
Yeah, I have them
yeah,
written
you
down
can tell
here.
they basically what we have coming in November. Even if I will
Yeah.
post it,
Okay,
Now,
it's
you
out.
can
there's
share it
more
right
other
now.
ones that we were thinking of. Well, I was thinking of putting on there, but since there's a lot of films we need to kind of get through, decided for now to leave them off. But maybe in the future we can do them, such as Lolita and Spartacus. But for now, what we'll be doing in the coming weeks for his filmography is Paths of Glory, uh, Doctor Strangelove, uh,
Odyssey, is
2001: A
it a
Space
Kubrick?
Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. 2001: A Space Odyssey. Barry Lyndon, The Shining,
of
Full
course.
Metal Jacket, and Eyes Wide Shut.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah. Malta, you said something related to me.
What?
Did you say something related to me when Cole was talking?
No,
He
not
asked if
really.
there's anybody, if anybody has anything else to say about this
Yeah.
one.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
But yeah, so this will be posted in all of the chats. So I will also send it to you, Pumpkin, so you can see. Yeah, Kubrick, he is legendary. Anyway, when it comes to grades, I think I will give this movie a 9 out of 10. What about you, Pumpkin?
I don't know. It's like it wasn't enjoyable, but that's the point. I guess a 9 too.
What about you, DC?
An 8.
And what about you, Gray?
Yeah, just because I know what, just because I know, excuse me, my dogs are barking. Uh, just because I know what he's capable of, I think I'd go 8.5. Other than that, you got to leave some room for some of his other films.
I mean,
Solid
usually I
movie.
do that with some directors, but with Kubrick, I really don't. He just made so many masterpieces, and this is possibly my favorite. This and 2001, I'd give this a 10.
10. Oh, that's very interesting. And I think it's well deserved. I don't think it's perfect, but it's well deserved. Anyway, what do we have? I'm wondering, Pumpkin, did you have seen any of the other topic for today?
I did not, but I've never heard of The Host. It's a horror movie or?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's multiple ones called Host or The Host, but the one we're referring to, it's a Korean monster film.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
that
That's
sounds
one
nice.
of
another one
Cole's
of my
favorites, I
favorites.
believe. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, no, I have not seen anything else, but
We
uh,
will provide you the planning because now the planning
yeah,
is ready.
Yeah.
Cole and I
We'll
talked
be
a bit
posted in the
about it.
group chat.
that's cool. Also,
Yeah. Also, you have seen Parasite, though, right? Assuming.
yes, I did. I did. It's the same
Yeah. It's by
director,
the same
or
director. Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
his name? Bunjong.
Well,
I, yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, so what do you have going on, Pumpkin, on your side of the
Uh,
internet?
Soon. I've said many times we're doing a video game, and we're slowly going to the demo. So that's exciting. So yeah, and well, I have a change of schedule, so I can be on more of these.
Oh, that's great. That
Yeah,
sounds fun.
yeah, because it was like really bad timing, but now I have a new schedule, so yay.
That's
Yep.
good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Do you have any page you'd like to share so I can share it to the chat?
Yes, it's the Spooky Kiwi Studio page on Instagram. It's the studio that I work at, and we're doing great things.
So send me the link. I will
Yes.
copy paste it.
All right.
So anyway, thank you very much for joining us today. So have a great day. Take care, and we will talk later.
Yeah, you too.
So DC, you did not have time to watch anything else, right?
Nope. No, I've been trying to at least focus on at least watching one film per week.
Okay.
That way, it's
that's
easier.
good. That's good enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good enough.
Yeah.
So what do you have going on your end of the internet?
Yeah. I've been trying to get some like really nice ideas, and I've been getting some ideas here and there. I plan to do videos on some of the characters I make that are in my Discord server. I plan to do like I'm actually currently working on one video right now where it's just a collection of like villains I make. Yeah. And yeah. I also been thinking of doing some like really cool like what ifs like scenarios as well. But yeah, I do have some videos coming up, but it unfortunately has been taking a while. But yeah, I do have some video ideas coming up.
Okay, well, better late than never, as we say. Anyway, thank you a lot again. I'm glad you were able to watch at least one of the topic, which is amazing and more than enough. I'd suggest you to, when you get the chance to watch one of the next few topic, I will post that right after the stream. I will post what Cole and I agreed on, and great. Like at first we were like, oh, you will add something in November, but maybe more in December since you didn't add clear idea like a few days ago. So maybe think about what
basically
you'd
we're
like
gonna
to
leave
cover
at least
December.
like one movie spot for each like of the 4 weeks in December.
Yeah.
So I'll leave a spot each open there.
Yeah.
After around December, though, we will be taking a break from like the franchises and other things and try to do completely like 2023 films. Yes, until around after March 10th or so, and then we're going to go back to the older films and franchises and all that until more stuff gets released in 2024 worth watching. Then we'll do some of that as well.
Yeah.
All right.
So the same goes for you, Marvel. You have time to think of what you'd like us to cover in the future. Anyway, DC, you're amazing. Thanks a lot for coming. Have a great day. Take care, and we will talk later.
Same YouTube. Bye.
Bye. So it's just us three. It's like the new normal, right?
Yeah. Also, Garrett DM'd me saying he said he might be able to make it in a bit, but he's a little occupied with some other stuff at the moment. So we'll see. But I mean, that's fine. Whenever he shows up, we can just rediscuss some things he's seen, like Clockwork Orange. That's also like his favorite of all time as well.
That's very interesting. I'm glad Garrett told you it'd come. I was glad to have him on for Misery. I believe that was like 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago.
Him and Parker. We've met each other since 2016 in a hockey community. One that's now destroyed because they let a bunch of fucking idiots and children run it to the ground, and they even falsely accuse people of being pedos at one point because they're on because they're on like a power hunger thing, like a high authority thing, and they just got off on that shit and kicked a lot of people for no reason. So it's been broken up, and it was a little while since I contacted him again and others, but I did a year or so ago or 2 years ago, and invited them to the stuff. So and we talk movies a lot now and on Letterboxd. I think you should really make a Letterboxd account, Multi. You would enjoy it a lot. It's basically like Discord, Twitter, and IMDb and other movie sites put into one. I think you guys would enjoy it. You too, Gray.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, that does sound pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm wondering, what have you seen, or what I should say is what you have not seen, because usually you have seen a lot of things. So what are the topics you have not seen, Gray?
Unfortunately, I did pretty bad this week. I've only seen 4 out of the 10.
Bruh, it's not bad, bro.
That's kind of bad. So I've definitely seen that.
Even just show up with one topic you've seen. That's fine. Just do what you want.
I've definitely seen the Scream, the Halloween, and then I watched Gen V this week, but I think that's where it ended. I thought I had seen The Host, and it turns out I've seen another version of The Host. Another
did you
one titled The
garbage
Host.
One in 2017 or whatnot.
Yeah, so that's what I thought you were talking about. And then when I looked it up today, I was like, that actually looks good. I was ready to trash this movie. Okay.
Every time people, every time I say you guys should watch The Host, it's amazing. They always think it's that fucking one.
Yeah. At first I thought it was the other one. I think, the Twilight E1, but
that's what they describe it as, Twilight. But for the record, though, we will be covering his other films in the future. You've seen his other films before, right? At least some of them, he's did. He did Mother.
Parasite is awesome. Yeah, and that one's awesome
Memories
too.
of Murder, Snowpiercer, Ocha, and all them.
Yes, and I'm kicking myself that I haven't seen The Host. I don't know why I never did.
Well, that's okay. So I guess we could, if you want, we could maybe do Gen V to mix it up with a TV thing, unless you want to do
Maybe we
like
will
the
keep
movies next.
Gen V for a bit later, but there's Echo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So maybe next either Halloween or Scream. That could be the next one. I'd say we keep Gen V for a bit later because maybe K Dot will join. He
Oh, okay.
said like yes to deal with something, so maybe he won't be able to show up. So I have very low expectation, but it's still a possibility because
Yeah, that's cool. But I mean,
yeah.
even if he like shows up at a even later time, that's fine. We can just have him, rediscuss it and such. That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Um,
So I guess which one do you want to do, Gray? Actually, for Scream or Halloween?
How about Halloween? Let's start on a low note, I think.
Yeah, let's get that
unless
shit out
I'm
of the way.
surprised.
The masterpiece called Halloween 5, guys. It's like, wow.
So it's the sequel that nobody asked for. Yeah, I generally like these films. Unfortunately, I think 4 isn't that great, but it is a masterpiece compared to this. Yeah, so this is my least favorite. Well, I don't know. Once they get into the next thing, the thing that they kind of teased in this one, I'll save you until you get to see it, Multi. It's quite amazing, but yeah, they kind of tease it with the rune and the magic character with the silver-tipped shoes.
Wow.
Yeah, so apparently that character was not written into the script at all. They just kind of made it up on the spot, and that's why it seems so out of place and just strange. Just kind of a weird production note on that, but yeah, to just like kind of leave a somewhat definitive kind of okay, it looks like he has sent his essence into this girl, and now just kidding. And also, she, definitely stabbed her whatever parent to death. Like that's a weird note to leave it off of, and then they just like kind of shake the etch a sketch, so to speak, on the next film. It's just really strange. And then the whole conceit of apparently Michael Myers was able to just stay with this random dude in a cave for a year. Like, I don't know. That's just super weird. I mean, I thought it was a bit of a plot convenience that he was at one hospital and then, magically when he was being transferred to another one, that's when like there was the car wreck and he gets out and everything. I don't know. That seemed like a little bit of a plot inconvenience, but this one is just like, what the hell? Like, how could we possibly believe that Michael Myers, would be living with some random old guy that he just didn't kill because he was too weak at the time, but this dude is taking care of him for an entire year. I don't know. It just seems so far fetched to me. And then just the costume is like the worst Michael Myers mask I've ever seen. I think it's the worst of the series. For some reason, they have it flapped out the whole time, like for no reason. Yeah, it is just really weird, and he doesn't seem menacing in the mask at all. But yeah, the other choice to have a child actor, but then have them be a mute, like I don't know. It just seems very, very annoying. There were a lot of really bad choices, but apparently a lot of choices were made on the spot. Like they did not have this ready to go. They didn't have a full script just going into it, which is it explains a lot, but it doesn't give them an excuse. So yeah, I think that's kind of my thoughts. Oh, I guess there is one iconic scene in it. Yeah, I it might stand out to you guys, but yeah, that's about my thoughts on it.
Well, you are interesting and funny at the same time. I like so much your take on everything, man. Cole, what did you think of that masterpiece?
Yeah, what a load of fucking horse shit. Jesus. Like, the thing that is really painful about this though, like, okay, Halloween 4 has defenders, and I can understand it. Even though I think it's overall still a bad film and it's really made for TV ish, it does have good moments and attempts at things and drama things and with the writing and characters, and that gives off a nostalgic feel. And the ending is pretty damn good, actually, I think. But with this has no defenders. Everybody is like, yeah, this is like the worst one even possibly. And there's even still articles like 30 years later, this is still shit. And yeah, surprisingly though, this almost got a fucking X rating. This film, which also a Clockwork Orange almost got as well, and would have been like the first to get that, I think, possibly, maybe not, but yeah. This is like the thing that really sucks about this though is they kind of just like what four did, at least with that great shock and ending and everything. They just ruined it in five. They didn't do anything with it, and then so that was shit. They just have another mute Michael Myers clone instead of doing anything creative with it, and then just the visuals are shit. Well, the acting is absolute trash. The kills I don't really care about at all. It's shit. It just feels cheap and disjointed. Really, it really feels like it was just rushed into theaters to make a quick buck. I also don't like how they killed some characters fucking so early, and also I don't like how they handled Dr. Loomis's character in this. I liked how they handled him in all the others and four, but
Thank you. I completely forgot to mention him, man. Like, they just killed
really
Loomis.
dropped the ball. Yeah, they really dropped the ball from here. And he acts nothing like the characters in the others. And the comic relief cops are fucking... What the fuck?
The literal clown music.
Yeah, it's like I was watching, what was that old film, The Last House on the Left, and there's just those scenes, comedic attempt scenes, especially the fucking like racist one. Jesus Christ. This was quite a piece of shit, honestly. I don't know what to say, but yeah, if you want to, have a good laugh though, just look up the reviews on this online. Like, this literally has no defenders. Like, anyway, what did you think, Multi? This absolute masterpiece.
There's no better movie in the world than this. The actor was shit, but at least it makes you laugh.
Jesus, yeah, this is way better than the actor in the Clockwork Orange. Oh yes, yeah.
Characters are forgettable, but why I am not surprised. That was the case of pretty much any other movie in that franchise. Sorry for Halloween Defenders. Guys know me. I don't really like that franchise at all. Now I gotta admit something, and I gave them a pass for too long. Michael Myers is one-dimensional, and it's the fourth movie where it's the same character doing the same crap.
Maybe
Well,
in the others, it made sense. So it made sense because the ambiguity. So I can't speak right now. You know what I meant, what word I meant. That, and also the fact that he's literally like the shape, like he's just like the spirit of just like pure evil. That's his character and everything. So it's like it makes sense, and there are actual crazy people like that. But then obviously when you do so many films afterwards and that are so fucking shit, and then you just do this over and over, and you can't relive what the first and second did, and also you have a chance to do something unique after the fourth, but you don't, then yeah, it's shit. Now it's shit, but in the others I wouldn't say so.
Like, there's too many characters again. It's not funny. The humor just didn't age well at all. I'd say even the pacing sucks. That movie just feels like, oh yeah, we got to do that 1 hour and a half mark because reasons. Didn't you say in the past to be considered a movie, you need to be at least 1 hour or so?
I mean, it would be nice. I'm not sure, like, if that's a regulation or anything like that.
No, I asked Cole because I know there are some movies that are shorter. They are under another term or something.
Oh, sorry. What did you mean? Sorry, I misheard it. What
is 1 hour like the minimum for a movie?
There's different like definitions and like for requirements and things, but the overall consensus. Hold on, actually. There's just one thing I wanted to search up quickly. It doesn't have to do with this. Okay, yeah, sorry, but no, the overall kind of consensus, so and what they go by, and with all the rules and stuff, and with releases is, and it doesn't happen often. That usually, like at minimum, it's something that gets released in theaters or is considered, that to a lot of people is at least around like 70 minutes or 80 minutes long. But the official kind of rules for the most part is that if a film's at least 45 minutes long, then it's feature length, and anything below that is a short film. So, for example, Wes Anderson, he released a bunch of short films this year in a collection, and one of them was 41 minutes long. So that's a short film. But I have seen films that get released that are like 48 minutes long or something, and they are feature length officially. So,
Well, that solved the question. So
Hmm.
why do we need like an hour and a half of just people I don't care about getting slashed open? Welcome
Well,
to
secondary
this.
question that may answer that one. How long can a trailer technically be? Like, maybe this is all a trailer for the next one because it's all just leading into that.
Maybe. I don't know. I have no clue. Anyway, that movie was bad. Um it was painful to watch. I was like, bruh, I gotta find something to praise, just to pretend to defend the movie, Um
no, you
so
don't have to. It's fine.
I marked down entertaining, I guess. Uh because I'm sure
Well, what is entertaining? What is?
I was as vague as possible, bro. The music, I guess. I mentioned the music twice, so I guess I like the
Yeah,
music.
the music is basically like the same thing from the others, so is it not?
At least there's a lot of action in that one, even if it's trash action. Yeah. Michael Myers is a threat, I guess. Until you see the kid in the vent surviving Myers and just running away. Uh, the doctor using the girl as bait was entertaining. And that's it. This movie is horrendous, and as we spoke right now, it got worse and worse. Because I felt too generous. At first, I was like, that movie is a 5. But a 5 would mean bad. But it's actually awful and terrible. So I'd say it deserves a 4 out of 10 more than a 5.
That's being generous.
Stop saying that. That's a masterpiece, bro. Um. So
It
what
is a
would be
piece.
what would be your grade out of 10, Cole?
Uh, let's see. Well, let's recount the other ratings. I gave the first like a 9, the second like a 5 to 6, the third like a 5 to 6 as well. Then I gave the fourth, I believe, like a 3 to 4 around that range. So for this one, I'll give it like a 2. How about that? That's being generous.
Yeah. What about you, Gray?
I think that's exactly where I'm at as well. I would give a 2. Um, yeah, it's not a great film. Like, if I was to give one redeeming thing, like Multi was doing, that vent scene, it has some tension in it. Like he kind of mentioned, she just runs away, but I don't know. I remember as a kid, like the first time I saw it, being kind of like, "Oh no, like is she gonna get stabbed?" And apparently, the actress actually got cut in that scene, so it wasn't even that safe. So I
Wow.
don't know, but yeah, it's just horrible. And I forgot about the character assassination they do on Dr. Loomis. Like this is just so bad. Like this guy who's tried to understand Michael Myers, he's now just going to be yelling at some mute kid. I don't know. I really hate this film. 2 is like the most I could give it, and that's way too generous.
Yeah.
You
And
know
if
what's
you think this gets bad, Multi, the next one after this, and also the eighth in the franchise, which is the last one of like the old films, prepare yourself.
Oh my.
But
So-
7 though.
Yeah,
It's all right.
H2O isn't that bad. It isn't that bad. I mean, it's not good, but it's not that bad, I guess. That one's all right.
Gray
sort of.
saying she got caught on set makes me laugh because I'm like, bruh, this sounds like a nightmare on set. Like, I can bet the on-set stories are more entertaining and interesting than the movie
That's
itself.
what you said about Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah. Masterpiece. A movie you gotta see is Halloween 5. I think it's unanim. Like everyone liked it on the panel, right?
Yeah, I love this
Unanimous,
film.
yeah.
So yeah, I guess we can already move on to the next topic, which is Scream.
Yeah.
This one.
I'll go first. I actually kind of enjoyed this one. It's definitely a step down from 1 and 2, but I think this was definitely a huge improvement, especially after that dog shit 3. And I do actually think it did a lot of things right, and I kind of enjoyed it. And it's the last solid one, I would say, in the franchise, because I really was not a fan of the new ones, which we're gonna now get to after this next week. They're not as bad as 3 though, so that's the good thing. 3 is definitely by far the worst. Like, I wouldn't say they're bad films, but yeah, they're not. We'll get when we get to it. But yeah, for this, one thing I really like about it is it definitely tried a lot of new things, and it did so well while still keeping like the spirit and tone and style and everything of Scream 1 and 2 on like Scream 3. And I think it did it pretty damn well, especially the whole intro thing with the whole breaking the fourth wall stuff and the swerves. I really enjoyed that, and I really enjoyed the acting and characters this time as well. And the humor in this, I did too. There were some moments that were but yeah. And the killers, yeah, they weren't not as good as like killers in 2 or 1, but I mean, after what we got in 3, I'm glad, honestly. And God, I would say, sorry, I lost my train of thought on something. But yeah, the one thing that I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. Okay. Well, okay, this is what I was trying to remember. Yeah, what I liked is they got rid of the one trope that in the first Scream worked really well and it made sense, and with who the killers were. But as they went on, it got really obnoxious, in my opinion, which is that where Ghostface just keeps getting knocked down while running after his victims. But in this, I like how they kind of changed that, and in the first, it worked super well. But and in the second, even sure, but after that, it got a little tiring and obnoxious, especially because afterwards, the killers that were all getting revealed weren't really like stupid or unexperienced or like teenagers, basically. So it doesn't make as much sense, and also stupid how every person who would have on the mantle is just that clumsy. So I'm glad that they changed that up. Actually, I think it works well, and I also think it was an interesting idea to have like a head cam that constantly streams, God. So, I mean, do you remember that scene, Multi, where they had like the head cam, right?
I will be honest, that movie is a blur.
Really?
I
Okay.
wanted to forget about Stream 4. I thought 2 and 3 were better. Hell, I even thought better.
Hot take, man. Hot take.
Yeah,
I thought
a lot of
part one
people
is
actually like
actually
Scream
the
4
worst.
nowadays. Wow,
Yeah,
you thought
Scream 4
Scream
I
1? Oh, Scream 4.
was
Wow.
slightly better. Scream
Wow.
1 was
Okay.
just slightly better than 4.
I mean, this is quite a
But
hot take. I mean, a lot of people kind of. I mean, they think the second's the second best, but a lot of people think. I mean, one and
my
is the
favorite,
best.
based on what I remember, is either the second one or the third one. But I think I'm leaning more toward the second one. I can't remember
Man.
which grade I gave, but I remember liking 2 and 3 over 1.
I mean, that's quite a hot take, but yeah, as Gray said.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but Gray though, you remember like the scenes with like the head cams,
Oh yeah.
right?
So I thought
Yeah,
it
I
was like
thought that was
who
really
would have
creative.
bandwidth like back in the day or anything like that, and it's really like innovative. But apparently it was based off of like Justin TV, which apparently became like Twitch or whatever. So I don't know. It is kind of interesting, but I thought it was super unrealistic at the time. But yeah, it turns out it was actually like cutting edge. So I do remember
Really?
that, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
couldn't get
and
over it.
also I really love as well how this time Dev Campbell is a lot more like I would say what's the word like reserved than the other one, instead of just like acting like the first and second again. And I think that was an improvement for her character. Like after 4 films, it needed to happen, and I think they did a good job with it in this. But so yeah, I enjoyed this overall. I'll stop there now because there were other things I was going to say, but I kind of forgot. But yeah, I do think it's a solid film, and I think all the changes make sense for the franchise in the 4th film at this point, and it works really well. Unlike all the shit they tried doing in 3. So who wants to go next?
I think I will, because I think I will be more negative than Gray based on the exchange we just got. So, my first issue, the humor didn't land. That was really early in the movie. I was like, oh, yeah, not funny. Next up would be another trend. You can guess it already. I can bet Cole already knows what I'm about to say. Trend. Something I complain a lot in recent days in the last month. Cole, any guess?
What the recent trend of what? Oh,
Issues
you
that kept
mean?
coming back in the last month.
You mean show don't tell?
No. Too many characters.
Oh, that one.
I
Oh,
didn't give a shit about any of them. Um, and next issue would be, I admit, Ghostface is one dimensional. I didn't like it. I was like, bruh, I'm tired of these boring villain again and again. Humor doesn't land a second time. Pacing, the movie goes too long pretending it has substance, and it's empty. People cannot aim. Not funny again. Yeah, I was just bored. Like after, I believe, like 20 to 30 minutes, I was already tapped out of the movie. I was like, bruh, it's 2 hour. How will I survive this? Ow. Anyway, there's a few things to respect. Parts of the movie were entertaining. Um, the chasing was cool. The message about victimhood was great. Parallels between cousins was fine. Decent jump scare. The cop connecting the dots, and that's it. That's all I could say. That's actually positive. Man, that was rough. I don't like Scream 4. I will let Gray talk about Scream 4 right now.
All right. So yeah, when I first saw Scream 4, so I wasn't super excited to hear that they were kind of like rebooting the series or whatever, and that they were bringing in a bunch of like teens. So I didn't see it in theater, but I remember renting it like on Redbox, like as soon as it came out. I don't know why I have that memory, but I remember being somewhat pumped, but not enough to actually like go to the theater to see it. And then yeah, I was just so disappointed and I hated it so much. And I haven't revisited it since then. But I watched it again last week, and I gotta say, I was really close-minded, and I misjudged this. So it's really interesting. So they brought back the writer. I can't remember his name, but he's the same dude who wrote Scream 1 and 2, and then he did a draft on the third one, but then Columbine
Kevin
happened.
Williamson.
Yep, that's the dude. So he came in and he did like kind of the first draft of this, and it was actually supposed to be a new trilogy. So they did a lot of things visually to kind of separate it from the other one. Like it is, now the 2000s or whatever. So they did that weird like 4K, I don't know what you'd call it, but it really makes some of the lights like super blown out, and it makes everyone look like they've got like a spotlight like right on their face. And then the other thing is I think it's just a filter because everything just looks like smeared like in a Vaseline or something. But it was done intentionally, and I guess it was to really separate this from kind of the world that we had known in the previous trilogy. And unfortunately, yeah, Wes Craven, this is his last one, so he wasn't able to participate in any of the future, and the whole thing kind of got scrapped.
Yeah, they really were thinking about this might not continue, and they didn't want to do it without Wes Craven.
Yeah, and it actually like sidetracked it for quite a while. But unfortunately, that Kevin Williamson or whatever, they decided to make some changes to his particular script, and he was signed on to Vampire Diaries at the time and couldn't come in. So they actually got the guy who did the rewrites for 3 to come in and do the ending for 4, which is an interesting choice considering the reception of 3. But I don't know. It's interesting. They do things really well, and then they do things kind of poorly. Like I think Ghostface is really awesome in this. I think the reveal of who it is not good. I don't know. They do CGI knives in this, which is not cool. It definitely doesn't look as good, but I guess Wes Craven really didn't like the rubber knives at this point. I think like the triple fake out intro is kind of interesting, especially as it like kind of ramps up who the celebrities are. I don't know. It got me the first time where I didn't know, okay, which one's going to start, and then it becoming stabs or whatever. So I don't know. Certain parts of it are kind of interesting. So like Multi said, they did throw in a bunch of like new teen characters. However, it's not really them that you're supposed to focus on. It kind of is these 3 holdovers from the original, and they are the main characters. But so I don't know. The others are kind of just meant to die. But yeah, it is kind of interesting, but it does kind of make you think that they are in danger. Like I don't know. I remember thinking it the first time that like, okay, so Gale Weathers is about to die here. But they all have plot armor, so they can't die. But I don't know. I remember actually thinking that they could in this. So I don't know. Certain parts of it worked kind of well. I like a lot of the tropes that they played off of. A lot of them were like the whole trope of rebooting a series, and then they were doing that within the trope. It's interesting. There's a lot of other things that he plays off of in this. I don't know. I think for me, it actually is the third best in the series, but I don't know. I might need to revisit the next ones. I remember really disliking them, but that could be based off of this. But yeah, apparently there's a character that was supposed to go on and keep going forth, and the ending on this was supposed to be different as well. Apparently, the end was supposed to actually be when the character, I cannot remember her name, the niece or whatever, when she just wakes up in the hospital bed and they say that Nev Campbell's still alive. Apparently, that was just supposed to be the end of it. And then it was going to kind of go on from there. And apparently, Nev Campbell has amnesia, but they never went on with that. Instead, it's
and there's a good chance, that other things they were planning in the newer films won't go on either because they were supposed to have. Oh, actually, I won't. I won't say it until Multi gets to it. But let's just say there's a character in it, Multi, that returns in the 5th one that we'll watch next week, and was supposed to be in all the new ones after that. Still, continue, but they're not because they backed out because they wouldn't pay them the proper amount of money that they were probably owed for all the things they've done, and that's all I'll say. And I won't say who until you watch the fifth. So.
But yeah, there's like a couple other things that I think they did well. I don't know. So I do like the trope of essentially like recasting the entire film. Like you do have, like the Randy character, you do have like all these different tropes, and they even like dress them up. Like at the end, the boyfriend is dressed up like Nev Campbell's father from the first one. And they do have like some throwaway things, like Henry Winkler has a statue. You can only see it in like one scene, but he was the principal in the first movie. So like they do have some tie-ins that are kind of cool. But I don't know. It's not a perfect film by any sense of the means. But I don't know if it's essentially like the, Force Awakens of the Scream series. Like, okay, I think it was done better than Force Awakens for the Star Wars series.
Yeah, well, I would
have liked to see where
it's
he
a tough
went with
one,
it.
but yeah, probably whatever. We'll see when we get to it. I can't wait to see Malty's reaction.
But yeah, I think that's about my thoughts.
Okay. I don't have much more to say, and I think we covered Stream 4 very well right now. What would be your grade out of 10, starting with Gray?
Ooh, that's a good one. I am not. I wish I wrote down exactly what I gave 3. I know it's gonna be above 3, but below 2. I think I'd probably go like 7.5. I think that's where I'd put it in there, but I can't exactly remember. It had potential, and it's got moments that shine for me, but a couple of weird choices.
And what about you, Cole?
Yeah, I'd probably. You mean Rayton, right?
Yeah, out of 10.
Probably like around a 5 or 6. I'll give it.
And my grade out of 10 for Stream 4 is a 5 out of 10. I didn't like it. I didn't care. I was like, okay. 3 was the last one I would enjoy. that's
You
the
might enjoy
mindset.
the fifth. There's it has its fans. And the sixth does too. It has its fans of of Zoomers who didn't understand the Scream franchise or didn't watch the originals.
Anyway, I will be more positive on the next topic, and this will be surprising because so far, you guys know me. With Gen V, that was rough. I don't like the show so far,
Yeah.
but episode 7 was actually good.
Yeah.
Well, it was missing a key element that you keep commenting on, so I was going to ask you about that.
I liked episode 7. I just wish the entire show was like that. There's still a few issues. It's no masterpiece, but it's an episode I was invested. It's an episode I actually liked. So we are going into Gen V now, and I will start by telling my issues with it as usual. So I just mark down timestamp right now, and I will mark down in the chat so people see Gen V episode 7. So my first issue would be the dialogue is as bad as other episode, but it only happened once where I'm like, yeah, they rely on freaking buzzword because they want you to be aware of these buzzwords. The next issue would be plot convenience. The non-binary character and the main character bumping into the scientist drunk rant as he's speaking about the virus. That was freaking convenient that he is just happening to speak about that virus as he's drunk and the kids are looking for him. It's just like too many plot convenience altogether that makes that not really believable. Outside of that, that's my only 2 issue with this episode. I really liked episode 7, as I said. The meeting between the characters was enjoyable. I admit the action sequence was cool. I enjoyed the complete chaos where everyone fought. That was like entertaining and funny. I'm glad they added more to the villain. Expanding on the girl's power was great. The girl setting up someone to die and make her 100% villain, proving that the character is nowhere near being into redemption arc. Now, I mentioned the girl, because I can't remember any of their name, and I don't care. So, Blondie is basically ending the other villain life by turning herself into a villain. That's how I see it. And I don't see these writer trying to redeem her. I can bet they're like, oh, she got rid of the other villain, so now she's a good girl. No, not for me. But anyway, the ending was cool, and as I said, I enjoyed that episode a lot. Yeah. What did guys think of it? I don't know who wants to go
Yeah,
second.
I really enjoyed it. This is one of my favorite episodes as well. Now, not perfect, but yeah, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed the acting and the characters in this one. Again, I really think over time, like they've been just getting better and better. And yeah, okay, be right back. Multi said, okay, well, anyway, and I thought the visuals were actually done better in this one compared to other episodes, and same goes for the writing. And I like the story and plot moments in this as well, and the editing choices I thought were pretty creative in this one. And yeah, there was a lot in this I really liked that I usually don't as much in this. Like unlike Multi, I don't, I haven't disliked the show or not been really into it. I just haven't thought of it as that highly. I just thought it was solid, nothing more. Just feels like a weaker version of the boys by a weaker team, but still competent enough to watch. But yeah, this episode was great though, and yeah. What did you think, Ray?
Yeah, I think I say it every single week, but I don't know. I was not looking forward to this. I really didn't like season 2 of The Boys, and I think I finished season 3, but now I'm kind of questioning because I think there's a storyline that I'm not quite fully caught up on.
I mean, what was it that you really didn't like about season 2? Because I know Multi didn't either.
It felt like it was just like over the top, like ham-fisted with the political things. But that being said, this kind of is too, and I'm not having that same issue.
Yeah, I mean, I did definitely have sort of an issue with that. Like, I mean, The Boys is like political and everything, so I don't have an issue with that there. But
for sure,
their execution and a lot of like the jokes in that one was like it wasn't as good as like season 1. I do think it was improved in season 3 though for me.
So, and that's why I'm wondering if I didn't like stop halfway through. Like, I think I need to go back and revisit season 3 because, like, when I keep trying to remember what happened last, I keep coming up with plot lines from season 2. So I don't know. Maybe I never finished 3, and if so, that's a shame because I don't know. I was looking down on this show, and I just didn't think I was going to enjoy it at all. The only thing I knew is like, it's kind of like their version of like the X-Men Academy. It's like, okay, that could be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I do think really the comics kind of suck, though. So credit to the writers for being able to do this still.
Yeah, I have not followed like the comics or anything like that. I did a little bit for The Boys in the first season, and then
I'll just say I rarely say this about like any movies or whatnot, but the Boys comics really is just like shock for the sake of it. There wasn't much like of a point or like good writing and
kind of what I got to, and as far as I got to. So I was wondering if maybe I just missed it and I didn't stick with it long enough. But yeah, I've been really pleasantly surprised. Like each episode seems to kind of be hooking me more and more with this Gen V thing. It seems like there's just so much potential on like where they could go with it. And I think they're exploring a lot of that currently. As is, like, I still wonder if what we saw happen to Golden Boy or whatever isn't related to Marie or whatever. And then, to see that they possibly brought in. Well, I guess I'm assuming that it was Billy Butcher that they were talking to, that she was talking to on the phone, the one that Shetty was trying to tell about the drug or whatever, or the virus. But somebody was definitely listening in, and she gave the warning of what happened to Billy Butcher. So I don't know. Like, that's kind of interesting. I'm not sure if that means he would be showing up for the finale. But yeah, and then the kind of payoff that you find out the plane from season 1 has something to do with Shetty's family. Um, I don't know, that's kind of interesting, and it would kind of give a reason for her to have this kind of vendetta against Soups. I don't know, it kind of fleshes out that character more for me. And then it does kinda lead to more questions for me, like, I don't know, she had Kate, like, essentially, like, laying on her lap, and, like, she seemed to be very submissive and said, "There's just one more thing you have to do for me." And then the next scene that we see her, she basically forces her to, self-delete. I don't know. I'm just wondering if the one thing that she was doing was not another, like, group illusion or something. Her eyes were bloodshot at the time when they first see her. I don't know. I didn't see anyone use any powers, like, at that moment. Like, she literally stops Marie from doing that and says, like, "I'm sorry that you're reliving this thing with your mother." I don't know. It's just interesting. It just the potential of where things could be going intrigues me a lot. And then to find out that like Newman has the same powers as Marie, that's kind of interesting. And then the fact that she seems to be nurturing her leads me to believe that Marie might even be more powerful than her. And she just has the ability to like explode heads, which that kind of makes you wonder, is it not the same type of action that we kind of saw with Golden Boy? But I don't know. I'm not sure that they're going to pay that off or not. But yeah, it just kind of leaves me with a whole bunch of questions, but like in a good way. And then it does seem like perhaps all hell is going to break loose, and I believe the season finale is the next one. So that sounds kind of good to me. So far, I've had a really good experience with this show, but yeah, I guess I don't know. There's a couple other things that make it seem like it could be headed in a great direction. There's some things that were like weird plot conveniences, like why did the doctor just come in and like explain all about how he's trying to make the virus go airborne and like the trials and stuff while he's pissing into her liquor bottle. I don't know. That seems a little convenient that they just happen to be hiding under the desk to hear that.
Exactly what I said.
I don't know. Like, I just feel like, you could have found that information on the desk or something like that. Like, they're already there. That would be more or less plot contrived to me than just him magically being in there at that moment. I don't know. Yeah, and then I guess Sam is supposed to be super gullible, so that's how he was like convinced to just go to this rally all of a sudden. But I don't know. I would think he would not be so easily manipulated. It didn't seem like Rufus was like using his powers on him at the moment, but perhaps I'm wrong. I don't know if he would generally be subtly being manipulating him, but
So
perhaps he did hand him a beer.
the way I see that character is it the brother that was in the laboratory. So the way I picture him, that's maybe the character that I maybe um will defend the most. I'm not saying it's the best one, but I will try to defend him a bit. I think he's very gullible because he's like a kid. Like
Yeah,
the
very
like
sheltered.
last week, that was his first time having bedroom fun. So he's like mentally is probably not the age he is physically. So yeah, I think it's believable that it would be that gullible as you say.
I could see, sledding like literally outside the door. I don't know if I would be so gullible as to be like, really? She's gonna be nah, she said she'd be back here, I'll be here. I don't know. I understand what you're saying, but seems like a little bit of a plot contrivance to me, but not a huge one, not a deal breaker or anything like that. And then there was one other thing, and now I'm blanking on it. But yeah, I think that's kind of my overall thoughts on the episode. But yeah, it just it makes and I guess it introduces who the mysterious benefactor is that they've kind of teased for the last couple episodes. So that's kind of interesting to know. I kind of thought maybe they were going a different way with it, but yeah, that is kind of interesting. The politician known as like the anti-soup politician is a soup with the same powers. Like that's kind of interesting. Yeah, and then that also kind of pays off I guess what Victoria Newman's powers are, because I guess previously we just knew that she could explode heads, but yeah, that is kind of interesting. So I do like that it kind of paid off a few things from season 1 of The Boys, or I guess that would have been season 2 and season 1 of The Boys. But yeah, it was kind of interesting. Multi, out of curiosity, did you just like this episode more because like no teens were hooking up, or was it just the pacing was better?
Well, I think everything was superior. I felt like I was watching The Boys and not Gen V. Maybe that's the best explanation. Um,
Fair enough.
like a lot of my issues with past episodes, it's not only the hooking up, it's the dialogue, bro. Like either it's the dialogue that gets under my skin, or the pacing as well is not that great. Um, like I think that the biggest trend with this show is like the dialogue. It feels like it's horrendous most of the time. I just hate the way they tackle stuff, and the other issue would be like the characters. They are not that great, but this week I was entertained by the story. So they didn't really fix the characters, but the story got me invested more. Um, I think the other issue is the fact that I don't give a crap about any of these characters. And before, like last week and episode 5, that was character driven, because most of the build up in like the first 4 episodes were the characters themselves. They didn't really work on the plot that much, and thing really unfold the plot unfold with episode 5. So here I still don't care about these characters. I still think the characters are piss poor, but at least I'm invested in the story, so that's one thing.
Hmm. Really? I don't know. I thought this episode did really good with the characterization. Like the one thing that Maria's always wanted, like the one thing that she's said that she's been passionate about was getting into the Seven, and it seemed essentially like Newman kind of offered her way to do that. Like Andre is having issues with his father, who's having, I don't know, he's like a mixture of like Xavier and like Logan when he's having those like seizures and doing like all that stuff, but it's like Magneto powers. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. So he stay with his father, or will he come help everybody else in this like upcoming battle? It seems like there's going to be a character thing. Like he, has been kind of shitting on his father for the last few episodes, pretty much the whole season. I don't know. Is he going to stay with his father in this time of need, or leave him? I don't know. That sounds kind of compelling to me. And then Kate, like the only person who's touched her since she was like a little girl and made this one mistake. Did she actually just force her to, self-delete, or is she doing some sort of elaborate like escape plan or something? Like I don't know. It's kind of compelling to me, man. Like I'm digging what they're doing with all the characters. I want to know where they're going. I want to know what's going to happen with Sam.
I think another thing with me is the damage has already been done. Like when your first 4 episode doesn't talk to me, and I hate your character and the way you write freaking dialogue, and then you add like some sprinkle of stuff that gets under my skin, I think the damage has been done. Like I'm sure I will forget about this show once the season is over, and when season 2 comes out, we will cover it, because I like to cover things to the end. Even if I like, there are shows I didn't like, I still watch the show till the end. Like the perfect example would be Legends of Tomorrow. I bring this up because Cole and I both covered the show, and that was the case where the first 3 seasons I liked it, but then it went downhill. I still went through every episode and finished the series. But anyway, I think for season 1, for me, the damage has been done. Even if this episode is the best one and my favorite one, I think this season will be something I forget about once it's over. I'm still excited for next week. Maybe the finale will elevate a bit more like the overall score for that season, but right now it's kind of low. And I'm someone that's like when your character resonate with me, I'm into your show. Like at some extent, I don't care that much about the plot until I realize the plot is lazy. But like the first like when I get hooked by a show or a movie, it's because of the characters. If I don't, that's already really rough start. Sometimes it's the plot, but it's really the character that makes me care about what's going on. And Gen V didn't do that for the first four episodes. It started doing that with episode 5, but I still had so many issues with episode 5. And episode 6, same thing. Episode 7 did and ends a bit the characters, but not enough for me. As I said, the damage has been done for me already. Um, so yeah. Anything else guys would like to add about Gen V?
So I'm not like just I don't just have blind faith in it. They do have the potential to screw everything up in the last episode, but for me, this has been like a really pleasant kind of ride. Like I had like zero expectations, just expecting it to be low, and every episode's kind of hooked me a little bit more. So I'm having a slightly different experience with this season. And sorry, I never paid off that one part where I was asking you if you liked it more because no one was hooking up in this episode. Because I was just going to point out that the Invisible Man and a llama were still hooking up again in this episode. So it still had some of that, but it was pushing past it.
I think the biggest difference between this week and last week, and this week I didn't care because I was invested with the main story, and that subplot was like one scene. So
Yeah.
maybe that's why, because last week I was invested with the plot again, but then you got like 3, 4 scene I don't give a crap about, 2 character I don't give a crap. Do you know what I mean? Like this week it was like what, one scene where characters were looking up, and
He just knocks on a dorm door. It just opens for a second.
It was brief.
That's all
it was brief,
Yeah.
and it didn't feel like, oh, it broke the episode for me. Last week it felt like it broke. Like I was invested in the story, and then we cut to that shit I don't care about. And I'm like, bruh, I want the story. I don't care about these two. I think that's the.
But it was shot beautifully. The puppetry,
I don't care.
The Titanic reference.
I don't care. Like if I cared about this character, if the damage wasn't done, I'm sure I would have liked episode 6 a bit more. Maybe on a rewatch, but I don't think I will ever rewatch that. But yeah, as I said, I think there's a big difference between this week and last week. That one bedroom fun scene this week was short. It was brief, and it didn't break the episode apart. It was like what, 13 seconds. I actually forgot it happened.
Yeah, I think it was even less than that. That was just what I was going to ask. Like, if that made it better for you, then sorry, you got to take that point off. But yeah, I think it was like 5 seconds. It's literally like she's trying to find him, so she's tapping on doors, and I think
blink and you miss it. So you see, that's fine. If you blink and you miss it, that's fine.
And it's also an invisible man, so it's like
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, overall, I really like this episode, but yeah, I mean, I guess they really could screw up the finale, but I've got confidence in them so far. I didn't before, but yeah, their track record's good with me, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'm also looking forward to the finale. Like, I didn't like the show, but I'm like, oh, maybe the end will be fine. I have high regards for it. What do you think of that, Cole?
Yeah, I think the finale will be really good. I mean, it's leaning towards that. I hope we get a lot of answers, but something still in for season 2. But yeah, I'm excited, actually, surprisingly. Okay, sorry, my thing was lagging a bit. Okay, there, good.
So, as I said, for me, it felt like a boys episode, another Gen V. Maybe that's why I liked it so much. I will give this episode a 9.5 out of 10. it's near perfection for me. That was just I had a blast most of the time. What about you, Gray? What would be your grade out of 10?
Yeah, I think I'd go like a 9. There is a little bit of room for improvement. I think again, like, if the guy hadn't just blurted out like what he'd just done drunkly and then pissed in the bottle. I don't know. I think you could still have the tension of that scene where he's just pissing in the bottle, but he like drops his files on the desk or something for her, and then that's how they find out. That would seem less contrived to me. But yeah, so for little things like that, it's not a 10,
I
it's
agree
not a
with you.
9.5. I'll just go 9.
I fully agree with you. That was one of my two issues I had with this episode. It's like plot convenience, contrivance. I fully agree with you. I'm glad for once I'm not the only one seeing that kind of stuff. I'm glad. What about you, Cole?
I'll give us an 8 out of 10. And yeah, so
That
hopefully the finale will be really good.
what's funny? I used to be the one that's the most negative. I always gave bad score to this season. I think I gave 1-7 somewhere. I can't remember where exactly. But
I mean, I think I
this week,
used to be the most negative when we first started.
no, I was. I gave a bunch of 4s, bro.
Well, I think it
This show
depends
was
on the
low.
things, I guess. I mean, I know I was pretty harsh on a lot of shows we watched
Oh, you're
before.
right. On that, you're right. You're right. Um, anyway, um, just double checking right now. Have you seen anything else, Gray?
I have not. I thought I was more prepared, but
No, no,
yeah,
you're
I
prepared. That's
was thinking
enough
of Stephanie
topics.
Myers.
That's
I
enough topics, all right? That's good.
Yeah, that's great. Like, watch as many as you can, but we understand there's more going on in everyone's life. I'm lucky. I got time. It's not everyone that has time. But yeah, man, 4 topics is
Yeah.
more than enough. Oh,
Also,
what's
yeah,
going
I
on
just
with
wanted
that?
to share this quickly as well. There was a
Okay.
lot of rumors saying that it was a done deal finally with the actors staying now and the writers staying officially. It's getting closer, but nope, those rumors were false. This was reported on just 10 minutes ago. It is still not a done
Hmm.
deal. They are taking steps, but there's still big hurdles that remain with the AI and shit. So,
Hmm.
yeah, just a quick news update there since it involves films and shows.
That
That's
sucks. I'd heard the rumor that it might be all said and done,
Yeah,
and that was kind
it's
of
just
exciting.
the AI thing is a big issue and it's really not going to be resolved easily.
Yeah,
That's
for
interesting.
sure.
And it's funny because we mentioned artificial intelligence, and next week, not this week, next week, if I remember correctly, in the planning of Window to Our Mind, we will have artificial intelligence. If it's not next week, it's somewhere this month. Pretty sure it's next week. But this will be interesting. Anyway, Gray, you're amazing. Man, you watch so many stuff. There are weeks you will see but most of the topics. There are weeks it's you will see less, but that's normal. Like um, we said it like in the past, DC used to have more time because he didn't add school, he didn't add work because now I think he's searching for a job or something, and he used to watch a bunch of stuff. Now he sees less stuff, and it's fine. Like this week, he has seen a Clockwork Orange, and that was more than enough. So when you comes around and you say, "Oh yeah, I've seen 4 topics," that's great, bro. Like it's only myself and Cole that have so much time, so we
Yeah,
watch a
we're
bunch
the
of
only ones
stuff.
who need to watch everything. Everyone else, it's fine.
And
Well, I'd still like to. I'd like to do more than half. I don't know. I feel like I'm not holding up my end of it. So, yeah, I will definitely watch more. I just thought I had that one already checked
Yeah,
off.
well, at the
So,
very least, I mean, you can try to see if you've seen like older films. I mean, the shows besides like the one episode thing weekly, such as Gen V and Invincible, when we cover that. I mean, more understandable if you don't, since they're season things. But at least the
yeah,
movies, if you want to try it, then sure.
yeah, and as I said,
for sure.
right after the stream, the planning is ready for November. And as I said, great.
Oh yeah.
think of what you'd like us to cover in December. Um,
Okay.
so,
Nothing but clown movies.
oh, that's cool. I cannot wait.
No, I'm just kidding. No, awesome. I'll start thinking about it.
And
But yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This has been awesome.
and thank you for coming. And also, that's a bit off topic again, but that and maybe have you seen the message I sent you about trying to contact?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I have reached out. I haven't heard back.
Okay.
I know that dude's got some stuff going on.
Okay,
So
at least you tried.
might just be
You
busy.
did your best.
For sure.
I do follow because I know you don't always look at your message, and you're someone's very
I
occupied.
do. I'm just horrible at responding. I usually look at it and then I think a response and never actually send it. So I'm sorry. I'm horrible with that part of it. But yes, I saw it. Yes, I did actually follow up. I didn't get a response yet.
Okay, perfect, man. Here again, thank you very much. You're amazing. See you Wednesday for diet and getting physically better, and I'm excited to see you coming up with a video if you got any video idea you'd like us to cover on Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, what
I'm pumped.
what do you have going on your channel right now?
Not much. This is the main thing. Other than that, check out Thinkers on that darn Kiddas channel on Thursdays. Yeah, that's what I got going on now.
Perfect. Here again, thank you very much. You're amazing. Take care. Have a great day, and we will talk later.
All right, see you guys.
That was great. So coming next, I'd like us to cover Killer of the Flower Moon.
Yeah. So first, I just wanted to ask you, how many? Well, both. How many Martin Scorsese, but also Leonardo DiCaprio films have you kind of seen before?
To be honest, I can't remember. Maybe I've seen I would need title, and I would need premise of movies to really have a good idea. I know Leonardo DiCaprio is a really good actor based on my experience. I know I've seen other movies he did in the past, but which one exactly I can't remember because I
Yeah, well, I mean, I can look up his thing quickly and share it just to show you. But yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. He's he's one of the
maybe screen share Martin Scorsese's library.
I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'm screen sharing both, but just to show you this one.
Okay, so
but yeah,
I think I have seen Don't Look Up, but this one I'm not quite sure. The name
really
sounds
did not
familiar.
like that film, but yeah, that's like one of his weakest.
Inception, I think I've seen Inception,
Yeah,
or
I think
either
you
it's
said you've seen
Memento.
it.
Either it's Memento or Inception. I can't remember. I always mix up Inception and Memento.
But yeah, he's done a lot of films, as you can see.
There was a time I wanted to see The Revenant, but I didn't end up.
That's the one he
watching
finally
it.
won his Oscar for.
Blood Diamond. I think I've seen it many years ago, but I can't remember the movie.
Yeah, a lot of people have seen it many years ago. They didn't really rewatch it. But yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. And then Martin Scorsese. Yeah, we're definitely gonna binge almost all of his films at a certain point. Not yet, but eventually. But he's done a lot of fantastic stuff, and he's genuinely one of the greatest directors of all time. And he's probably the greatest live-in director of all time, if I'm being honest. Just to show you his filmography.
Okay.
Yeah, these are considered some of the greatest films of all time. Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, Goodfellas, and he's done so many just incredible ones. And this is the film that fucking Joker pretty much just copied so many things from. Good lord. Yeah, he's just so many films that are just considered amazing. Even when you go down, even like Silence and even the Nicolas Cage one from back then, even the Jesus Christ one with Willem
I've
Dafoe,
seen
like
that
just
one many
yeah,
years
just
ago.
incredible. Even like his
Wait,
earlier
what's
stuff,
the red one? The name of the red
Bringing
one?
Out the Dead. It's the one with Nicolas Cage.
I think I've seen that one many years ago again.
Yeah, and he's even a musical. Like he's such a versatile director. He's done like almost every genre ever out there. It's just and he's just made like amazing films in each one.
Well,
So
that's interesting.
yeah, this one came out this year, and yeah, this is he usually does. I mean, again, he's versatile. He's done a lot of genres and types, but his bread and butter usually is like Italian or Irish like mob films, usually like Goodfellas and The Irishman. But yeah, so this one, though, yeah, this is his recent one, and he had yeah. What I will say is Robert De Niro. He was like the older character in this. Originally, he was gonna be in Leonardo DiCaprio's role. He was originally supposed to be in that, I believe, unless I'm mistaken. But then he had too much time doing another film, basically. So Leonardo DiCaprio got the role, but then Robert De Niro then later got that role instead because of it. And yeah, those two actors are like the two people he usually does films with the most. Like he's done films with a lot of people, but those two are like the people who've been in so many of his films. But yeah, and once again, I thought the acting from them and everyone else in the cast was just amazing. Especially I believe she's newer, but I believe her name is Lily Gladstone. I know I've seen her in a couple other films, but she's newer. And yeah, I thought she was great in this as well. And she's being like considered the favorite actually to win like the Oscar for lead actress. So that's something. And she said that before getting landing this role, before talking with Scorsese, that she was thinking about retiring from acting and just becoming like an accountant or something or a lawyer or something. I forgot what it was, but probably going to change now. But yeah, this is yeah, the whole cast was just amazing in this. Like, it even got like cameos from people very shortly. Like, I know Jesse Plemons shows up, in like the last act as the sheriff guy or detective guy, and I know Brendan Fraser shows up like in the last 5 minutes as that lawyer guy, if you remember him. And
It
yeah,
was the
a lot of
only
people
character I
credit.
cared for because that was Brendan Fraser.
Well, a lot of people criticized him in because he was over the top, I guess. But what a lot of people didn't realize is that that was the point of his character. Like he was supposed to be an over the top, like he was supposed to be kind of like a fake acting like lawyer who like has a gimmick on and is trying to like convince people, but it just comes off as so fake and just loud and everything. Like that was the point of his character. And also before Brendan Fraser landed the role, and this was before he was doing the whale officially. The character was supposed to be more over the top and comedic, but he told him to tone it down a bit. So I mean, I don't know, you shouldn't be blaming Fraser for it, but anyway, yeah, I thought the whole cast was amazing in this. Now, this wasn't one of my favorites from Scorsese. I mean, that is an insult because he's done so many amazing films, and this was still an excellent one to me. But this wasn't one of my favorites from him. I do think there were some points in the writing and story or whatnot, or the editing that I think could have been a bit better. But overall, still, I think really good. And I think it was the way though that a lot of people, you might still complain about it because you from like what you said in DMs, but a lot of people, have complained about long run times or stuff or slow pace, and not really for a lot of people. But for this film, though, not many people at all are complaining about that because he this time he kind of like changed it up and he made the pacing more smooth and he made the story a lot more easy to digest, I guess. Like not really as confusing as at least in certain moments and before. And but I do think there were some issues with the editing and such. I do think could have been improved on, but overall it was still good. And yeah, I was compelled by the story. I thought it was pretty damn interesting and a lot of points. And I do think the way it was shot and with the music and everything and the lighting really set the tone well in a lot of moments. And yeah, this was a lot of the true story aspects to this as well were like really good as well, and with the real people. I thought that was really compelling. Let's see. Do I have anything else that I wrote down? Yeah, no, not really. So because I saw this in theaters, I didn't really like write down notes or anything. But yeah, I mean, I could say a bit more right now, but I would literally just be talking about movie scenes, and it's just like whatever. I mean, yes, this happened in the film, woohoo, but yeah, but I really enjoyed it though. Yeah, it's not my favorite Scorsese film, but I do think it's still a great one. What did you think though? I mean, I doubt you're as high on it as me.
I will say this. I thought the story and the plot were great. This was what kept me invested, but the pacing. I wanted to eat a bullet, bro. It's like
Really, a lot of
three
people didn't have an
hour and
issue.
a
Well,
freaking half.
well, I actually it's more so like 4 hours, honestly.
Like you can trim down bare minimum 30 minutes.
I mean, it is like based on a very large true story,
Oh,
and they were trying to be as accurate as possible. And I mean, the way they, with the pacing and everything, though, like they made it flow well. Where, I mean, at least the majority of people this time, it didn't feel long.
at some point I was watching my clock. I was like, okay,
To me, the only time I was doing that is when Frasier showed up because I was like, okay, maybe the film will end soon now because then that's like when I realized, holy fuck, 3.5 hours
yeah,
just went by. But outside of that, I mean, outside of just
I've
that small moment, I didn't really do that at all.
I've looked at my clock at least twice or three times maybe, and I was in the damn theater, bro. Usually I don't do that in theater. Last time I did that was with freaking Oppenheimer, and you know how I felt with that movie. It wasn't bad, but the pacing was horrendous. Now, my other issue would be too many characters and none of them stand out. I really didn't give a crap about any of them, and
Really,
even the lead, like Leo, did amazing. I think I cared for Leo because it's Leo and he is a good actor, but give the same role to any other actor, I don't think I would be that hooked, and I don't think I would have cared at all about that character. Um, I did care about the first sister that got basically shot while she was pregnant or something. Um, this character I did care for her, but she was rolled off early in the movie, and I will also admit, like, I enjoyed the love relationship between Leo and his co-star, and I like that aspect. It has multiple layers, and it was entertaining. It was fun to watch, but the character herself wasn't something unique. I like the exchange they had, the relationship, and the family dynamic and that kind of stuff. The core aspect of that character was really the family around. I
Yeah,
like
and
that.
I think there was just so many like impactful moments with it as well, and memorable moments. I thought, for me, I thought it was really well done, and but I think this is like the only Scorsese film or like Leonardo DiCaprio film where you watch the end of it and you realize it. There's no way you can think of DiCaprio's character as a good guy or De Niro's character as a good guy. This is like the only one.
Yeah, I think the acting was on point. I didn't care about these characters because outside of being bad guys that just wanted money and or that
Yeah,
got
but you didn't like
manipulated,
right. You didn't think a lot of the characters were like memorable because I mean I thought they,
I
for me, I
can't
thought they
name
did
a
a good
single
job.
character name, bro.
Really, well,
I
I'm
just
bad.
can't.
Well, I'm bad at names, so I usually don't remember the names of characters anyway, unless it's a film I really love, like a Clockwork Orange, and then I watched a lot, and then I remember the character names. But the characters themselves, I mean, I remember pretty much all of them. Remember all of like the yeah, all of the like female characters and and her sisters and stuff that were then like murdered. I remember the all the lead characters and then all the supporting characters of the and all like the rich people and then all of like the native people on the side there and then all the cameo characters. I mean, and also the one old guy as well who like was told to do those jobs and then also like told on them afterwards and some of the other and the one character saw it and then like I remember pretty much all of them like they're all like very I'd say vibrant in my memory watching it. I think they all really like stood out as characters and were all like unique and like memorable and I think there wasn't really any of them that were like super similar. I thought they all had their own style, but I mean that's just me though.
I think it's a struggle I have with movies that takes place in the past. That's another factor in. I always struggle in
I mean, there are
movies.
times where I do, it depends. It doesn't really happen anymore, but there are times. But with this, I thought Scorsese made it pretty easy for audiences who have issues with like not just long run times, but that with like the olden times and stuff and following along with like the past. Like I thought he kind of simplified it more than usual with his films.
I will still say that I enjoyed the movie overall, despite my issues. I thought that was a solid movie, but
Yeah,
the characters themselves, none of them stood out for me, and
yeah,
that's
that's
the
cool.
very
I mean,
sad
I'll be
part.
honest. There are definitely have been people saying that they weren't as impressed really with this film compared to his other films and didn't think they're amazing. Like one of my favorite movie reviewers, who I usually agree with him, like almost all the time. Again, YMS. Yeah, he wasn't really fond of this film. He gave it like a 6. So yeah, I mean, there are definitely people who just would think like, yeah, I mean, it's solid, I guess, but not nothing, special or anything. They think so. There's definitely people like that out there, even if the film has high ratings online and such.
And I will also say that I'm someone that complains a lot about having too many characters around. Here, I feel like the number in the cast was well justified because of the runtime of the movie. I feel like the movie it's fine to be long because you got a lot of characters you want to flesh out, um, and that was a good thing. But the movie still went on for way too long. And maybe if I cared about this character, I wouldn't say the same thing. Maybe if I did care about this character, maybe if I thought one of them stood out, I would be like, oh, I'm all in for like that 3 hour and a half. Because when it comes to character, if I'm invested in the character, I'm hooked. Like being invested in a character for me is more important than the story itself. I said it many times over. Like the story itself of this movie is on point, Like there's no plot convenience I could point out. There's no big issue with the dialogue or the story beats or like the character moment. Or I thought like really it's a solid script. It's just the characterization I didn't think was on point. Um, but yeah, I like the experience, and I think it's the kind of movie you kind of need to watch in theaters, and that may sound weird, but it's mainly because it's a an experience you need to live. I don't think it would be the same if you would be home watching on the
Yeah,
TV or
movies like this, I definitely, definitely theater films. I think. Although, one thing I was annoyed by in my fucking shithole theater, they accidentally turned the volume down super low twice, and I had to walk out and tell the fuckers over at the convenience stand that they fucking did that, and then to fix it twice. So I had to walk out there. So I missed like minutes of scenes, I guess, and took me out of it a bit. So that was annoying, but whatever. I fucking hate this theater call. Like back when I was in Canada, literally the best theater, and it was one of the only theaters that had out of like 40 in North America that had like the biggest and highest quality like IMAX screen out there, like the one they talk about, 70 millimeter or whatever. This it's a fucking shithole. So yeah, I have to like go an hour and a half away to a good one if I ever want to see something like Oppenheimer or this, but whatever. But
and
yeah,
there's two other thing I'd like to say. Like one thing would be for once I'm fine with everyone being really gray until like you realize they're really villain like. Maybe not that much the main character because he's
yeah,
more
well,
like used
yeah,
and
yeah. I mean,
manipulated.
it's a very complicated, story, but yeah, they definitely not nice people at all,
Yeah,
and definitely could have made different decisions. Though he wasn't like held at gunpoint, but he was still used, but he was still did some of it willingly and
yeah.
whatnot, and definitely had some evil motives in mind too at points. And then of course the other guy, and yeah, a lot of it is just like yeah,
All of the nuance were enjoyable. And I'm someone I said it in past stream. I'm tired of everyone and everything being nuanced, but here in this movie, I was fine with it because I
yeah,
thought they were smart about it, and
yeah.
it's
And
more than
what was the second thing as
oh
well?
yeah, that wasn't really about the movie, but it was like um a backstory of what happened when I went in the theater. But anyway, um the thing is,
Yeah, what was it?
oh yeah. So I went in the theater. I bought my ticket in English, of course, because I ate French dub and stuff. And I was like, okay, I got the right ticket. I got the room number. I take the elevator, and then I arrive at my floor. And then the first door I see wasn't the door I was meant to go because it was another number. And I've seen the title in English. I was like, oh, maybe it's the right room. I still went in the room I was supposed to go at, and that's funny because it was in French the poster, so I was like, wait, what? Did they mix up both rooms?
Yeah, I don't know. This shit happens in like other languages. It's so weird. Like I
How?
remember in my theater, like I don't know what they were saying in the opening title cards, like with the words on screen in like the opening of the film, that they had because it was in Spanish, but then the rest of the film was in English with just the Spanish, subtitles at the bottom. So I'm like, what the fuck? Well, why is that one on? And also, if you're gonna make that in Spanish, why didn't you have English subtitles at the bottom? And also, that just shows like they do this in every country. Like Steven Spielberg intentionally made it so there wasn't English subtitles in the theater in scenes for West Side Story, his remake of it, when they were speaking Spanish or whatever language, Spanish, I guess, because he's like, I don't want English to be like the dominate, be the dominant language or whatever. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? What you? Okay, number one, the people who fucking that isn't the issue with fucking people speaking English or in America. The issue is a lot of people in America don't want to fucking see subtitle films. That's the issue. The people seeing the subtitle films aren't the fucking issue. They want to understand what the fuck they're saying. I want to understand what the characters are saying in the fucking film that I paid for, idiot. And secondly, they do this shit all the time in other countries. Almost every fucking film in this country that I've been to now that I looked at on the theater are fucking Spanish dubs of English films, right? So fuck off, all right? Like, I seriously can't see any animated films in theaters anymore because every single anime film and animated film that they've been releasing in theaters in this shithole fucking country is just the Spanish sub. It's not the original thing, but then, oh my, just fuck off. Whatever. I'm so done with this shit.
So I was worried.
But
I was like, the first door I see is in English, and the room I'm meant to be at is in French. So I was like, I'm worried now. Did they
I'm
mix
glad
up
it worked
things?
out.
I did sit in the room, and the commercial were in French. So I was like, red flag warning, red flag warning. And then the trailer started, and I was like, oh, okay, that's reassuring. It's in English. They just mixed up like the commercial and the posters. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, but I will say though two other things to mention. I believe number one with the theater thing, by the way, that you mentioned. There's actually some controversy right now. So I forgot who it was. I think it was the editor of the film or something or someone. I don't know. They called it out and reported it publicly, but basically, there were a handful of theaters in Canada and the U.S. who broke some rules and they added an intermission at the 2 hour mark or something for this film or at the halfway mark, which they when they put it out in theaters and they signed the thing, they specifically said not to add intermissions, or it would break the contracts with Apple TV and everything and everyone who made the film. But so a handful of theaters did it anyway, and now they might get like sued or something or lose money. So that's interesting. I
But
don't know what
what's
your
a
opinion is.
intermission? What's that?
Well, it's something that 2001: A Space Odyssey actually has for like in the film anyway, like that you can see online. Like it was added in the actual film. It wasn't just a theater thing, but usually it's just a theater thing. But it's that for some long films they'll add like usually it's halfway through it. Like for example, if there's a film that's like this, that's like let's just say 4 hours at the 2 hour mark, so the halfway mark, they'll have like something pop it up on screen that says intermission, and it'll be there for like 5 minutes, and people can go to the washroom and shit, I guess. But yeah, they specifically said not to, and they did it. And yeah, there's some drama there, which I mean was pretty bad as well because I mean films that want to have like a intermission theater thing don't have a usually what they'll do for certain films like that is they'll intentionally have some sort of scene where it like cuts to black or something at a certain point. So then it makes sense to put it there, and so it's not like taking you out of the movie. But a film like this that didn't have that planned and said not to, so that means they put it there just like at a random point after a scene where then it doesn't fit and it takes you completely out and it's like convoluted and everything. So I can understand why they're pissed. Like that would really ruin the experience and art, I
Yeah.
guess. So, but
I'm
yeah, and
glad
the second thing,
I'm glad it didn't
oh yeah,
happen where
continue.
I went.
Yeah,
I think I would have
yeah,
hated the movie more. I
Jesus,
liked
but
it, but yeah.
yeah, but the second thing I just wanted to mention is that Jesse Plemons in this. I mean, you know him as an actor, right? And seen some of his stuff, right?
I can't remember. Like I don't
Uh,
know many
well,
actors. Like
he's like the detective sheriff guy who was like from Texas. That character in the film.
I can't remember.
Oh, you don't remember? Hold on. I mean, he was in some. I don't know if if you've seen any of the films that he was in before, but I'll show you his thing quickly. This is his. We're definitely going to see more films with him because he's been in a lot of good stuff. But this is some of the stuff he's kind of done before. But he was like, he was also mainly known. This was like a movie for it, but he was one of the villains at the end of Breaking Bad, and that's where he got his fame because he was super good in that. But yeah, and also he's in the first episode of this Black Mirror season 4, episode 1. So you'll see him in that. But yeah, he's a really good actor. But I just wanted to mention, like, so he was in this as that character as like the well, yeah, Tom White, that detective guy, right? That you see like later in the film with the cowboy hat and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, originally though, so he ended up signing on for this film, but originally he was actually going to be. Do you remember Nope, that film by
Yeah. Yeah.
Jordan Peele? Do you
Yeah.
remember Stephen Young's character, like the guy with the cowboy hat and everything?
I
That
don't.
was originally supposed to be him in that film.
Wait. What?
Yeah, in Nope, the like the Asian guy with the cowboy hat, Stephen Young.
I
He
don't
was
see him being in that role.
Yeah, well, he was originally supposed to be that character, but he backed out of that film because of his schedule and him wanting to be in this instead. So then Stephen Young got the role in Nope instead for that character.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah, so that's just an interesting casting thing there. I mean, I
So
think it
they
worked out for both
basically took
sides.
they basically took 2 years to make this movie. 3 years.
Yeah, something crazy like that. I mean, these films take a while to make, but yeah, and I mean, I think it worked out for both sides. I mean, he got to be. I mean, the one guy got to be in a film like that, and then Jesse Plemons got to be in a film with like one of the greatest directors ever. So I mean, I think it worked out for both, and I think also it was better for both because I think he really added something in this film that wouldn't have been in there otherwise, and I think Stephen Young fit that character and Nope a lot more actually with what they were going for. So I think it worked out for both sides, but. That was just an interesting like casting thing I wanted to share. But anyway, was there anything else you wanted to say about the film? Or
I don't have much more to say. Like I think it was just a good movie. I liked, despite my issues, and I think I would give this movie a 9 out of 10. One of my favorite movies this year. What about you?
well, same thing, 9 out of 10. But I'm a little surprised by that because of your issues. But
I don't see myself rewatching. I don't know if you caught up or if you were done in purpose.
oh yeah, no, I just stopped talking. But yeah,
Yeah. I don't see myself ever rewatching this. This movie is way too long, but I still like the experience. One of my favorite movie this year.
that's fair enough. And for me though, usually with films I don't rewatch them anyway. Like there's definitely like a couple hundred or even more that I've rewatched. Like there's definitely many films I've rewatched, but the vast majority of them is usually a one and done watch. Whether it's because they're bad or if they are amazing. It's just it's just there's so many films out there in the world that I want to watch that if I were just to rewatch the same film over and over again, I wouldn't have time to then watch the new ones. So for me, the rewatchability thing isn't as much of an issue for me with any film because I usually will just watch it once anyway and get this experience firsthand, and then I'm cool with it. But there are the rare times where I kind of criticize it for certain things like that, though. Um, Usually, though, it would just be like if it holds up or not after a first watch. That would be my only issue. Like that was me with Joker. When I first saw Joker, I did think it was an excellent film, but the next day I thought about it more, and it kind of got worse when I thought about it, and then I rewatched it, and I noticed a lot of things with it I wasn't the biggest fan of, and things that I just thought weren't that great, but that's just me. But anyway, what topic next? I guess. Oh, okay. Be right back shortly. Yeah, my bad. But okay. So a few topics. So I guess we could probably do some a TV show topic now next. Let's see. So yeah, we have Runaways, Agent Carter, and Agents of Shield. I mean, unless you want to do the one movie next. Yeah, those are the topics we have left, I guess.
We are back. Are you there, Cole?
Yeah, I'm still here. So yeah, I just was waiting for you, but yeah, I was just mentioning the topics we have left. But anyway, unless you want to do the just get the movies over with, you can
Yeah,
maybe do a
host.
TV show. Okay, so the movies. Okay, so first I wanted to hear what you had to say. Now you did watch
Okay.
the English dub, and I will just say first and foremost that there are some lines in it that aren't because I did just curiosity in the past check out the English dub to see what they were saying because sometimes they're inaccurate with things, and there are definitely lines that were inaccurate in it, like the scene with the I believe it was the kid and like I can't remember who it was, like his older brother or something, but they were like trying to get resources or things, and he like saw that money, and then he told him like put it back and stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty sure in the English dub they did something like they were like he asked why is it why shouldn't we were stealing anyway, and then they made some like reference to him like about fucking Robin Hood or something. Yeah, in the original one that wasn't what he said at all. It was completely different. But I don't think it was something that uh, they people who watched the English dub would have understood. So they just changed it to that. And there were some moments like that in the fucking film, but anyway, so just mention that there. But anyway, what did you think though?
Okay. My first issue would be characters are forgettable. Next up would be the guy who was stupid to try to hit the creature again with the road sign since he's seen what it did the first time and what the creature did to others.
Well,
That
I
was
think
really
I will
stupid.
say I think that scene. I think he understood that like at that point after they did that, like like how tough the creature was and the odds, but again, he saw him like the one character help him out and then in danger, and he just had like an adrenaline moment and wanted to try to do anything to help him. Like that happens all the time in real life, and with people. And I think that was like just that moment there, and with him like being able to then lift it up there. So for me, I was okay with it, but damn, really, the characters were forgettable to you. Really, I thought they did a good job with it. Like they all had like their certain things. which
I
then were
didn't give a
used.
shit about any of them. I was like,
Really,
they will all
wow.
die.
Really, I thought they really made you care about a lot of them, and they also had like certain things with each of them, and a lot of character growth, which then made you care about them. Like they brought back near the end, especially with like the one character who was kind of like selfish and an asswat first with like money, and then and also the other character who was like the archer who was then came back near the end. Like I thought they did a lot of good things with that and made them memorable, but I mean that's just me.
Um, Next up would be the pacing. I thought that movie went on for too long. It's the kind of movie that could have lasted an hour 20, an hour 30, but it stretched on for 2 hours. I was like, bruh, too long. Too
I mean,
long.
I was cool with it, but hey, that's just me.
There's still a few things to like. Opening scene with the two doctors was cool. It already hinted at what may end up going bad. The music, the action sequence was entertaining considering it's 2006. The creature was well made. Well, the girl death was sad because of the money jar her brother had for her. The acting was on point. The quarantine was cool, entertaining car scene, nice sewer scene. The music, the grandfather death was sad. The people throwing stuff to the creature was entertaining, and I don't have much more to say. Um, that movie surprised me. It was interesting as a horror movie. Usually horror is not my cup of tea, but this one I
Yeah,
was
well, I
invested.
mean, yeah, there was a lot of. It's like a really a multi-genre thing. There were a lot of elements to it, but yeah, I mean, it's like a drama as well, a thriller. I mean, monster movie, like political thing, like and a psychological thing. I think it was, there are a lot of different messages to it as well.
Yeah, I don't have much more to say.
Yeah,
Um,
that's cool. But yeah, for me, okay, so I'll just start off by saying like, okay, now objectively speaking, like if I were to go to films that are just like trying to judge films that are objectively the best, such as Clockwork Orange and other films, this wouldn't be one of my top ones. I do think it's an amazing film, but I do think it has some weaknesses that I can notice rewatching it. Like I do think some of the editing is a little weak at points, and I do think some of the music choices were actually a little, how do I say, for me, a little sappy or a little like royalty free, sort of, and with some stock sound effects I can notice maybe. I think there were some of those in there. There were some issues some issues for other people that they brought up that I don't think are actually issues. So people said they thought the lighting was like overexposed and such. Yeah, I watched the version they were watching, and yeah, I could see why, but that wasn't the film at all. That was they watched it on a website that had lower quality, so the lighting and such looked overexposed and everything. But if you watch the very original one and in its proper quality, I mean, the lighting is actually amazing in it. So, and there's other things like that. But so that a lot of people brought up the visual effects, with the monster. But guys, this was 2006. Of course, the visual effects with the monster and stuff is going to look a little outdated now.
I don't
However,
think
it doesn't
so.
even
I
look that.
disagree with these
Yeah,
people.
well, even then though, it doesn't look that outdated because this film did such a good job with the lighting and the visuals and like how the monster fits into the world. Where even with the visuals being a bit outdated nowadays since it's older CGI and technology, it still blends so well into the world where it still feels so real and looks great still. So yeah, but yeah, so just some notes there. But anyway, so I do have a few weaknesses with it. I don't think it's like objectively speaking a 10 out of 10. I do think it's possibly like one of the greatest monster films of all time. But I don't know if it's objectively a 10 out of 10. However, the reason why this film means a lot to me and why I have it as like my profile picture, at least for the time being, on a lot of sites, and it's sort of like it's a film that I don't know where it would be on like my top of all time list, and it wouldn't be on there objectively, but subjectively speaking, subjectively, just on a personal level, it's up there as one of the top ones, and the reason being is because this was the first international slash foreign language film I ever saw, and it did a lot of first things for me. You know, when I was young and I saw it, and kind of like opened my view to a lot of things in the world and with movies. So for me, on a personal level, because of that, that's why this film means a lot to me, and why I'm going to be very biased with it. But I do think it's a fantastic film, though. Still, it isn't the best objectively out of Bong Joon Ho's filmography, which we'll definitely be watching his other films. So hopefully there'll be like an English dub for that for his others. But there should be. But I do think he's made objectively better films. But personally, this is like tied for one of the best for me. But yeah, I mean it's a fantastic film still. Though I think the acting is just incredible by everybody, and I think the characters are so memorable, and each have their own things. And I think the fact that their growth and then using it at the end is just so good, and they do it so well, and with the good editing and everything outside of some of the bad editing, but not at those points, and the direction as well, and the visuals, just super well done there. And also the main actor in this, the one, well, the main character in this. Yeah, I don't know if you probably haven't seen any of his. Might not have seen any of his the films that he was in before this, but maybe you have. He was in some English speaking films as well. Have you seen the film Snowpiercer before?
No, but that's funny because I thought eventually I'd want to watch it because I had seen the
Yeah,
trailer
well,
or
yeah, well,
something.
that is by the same director. He did do a couple of English speaking ones, and he's doing another one which is coming out this year. It's going to have Robert Pattinson in it and other actors. So called like
That's
Mickey
cool.
17 or something. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, so you haven't seen his films, but yeah, his name's Song Ken Ho. Yeah, he believes like 56 now, and he was younger at this time, obviously though. But yeah, he's. I said before that Willem Dafoe it was one of my favorite actors of all time. For me, he's up there as well with him. Like you haven't seen like any of his films yet outside of this, but when we get to that, you'll see more of his roles. But I really love him as an actor in a lot of these films. Yeah, and I thought he was incredible in this with his performance, and everybody else as well. And then, of course, the visuals are just incredible. I love the visuals in this. Uh, and again, I thought all the scenes and with the monsters were incredibly well done. And I thought, really made you care for a lot of the characters, in my opinion. And I thought a lot of like the really dramatic scenes and also the were really well done, and especially on like with politics and everything and all those things, and with like viruses, I think we're just and his age so well, and it's just really well done there as well. Uh, and the writing I thought was great as well, and yeah, just really great film, and I thought it was very memorable just throughout. Oh yes, and the comedy in this is just I love it as well. This is also something he this is something the director does in a lot of his films as well. He adds a lot of comedy to as well, along with like the dark aspects, and he blends both of them together really well, in my opinion. Like there are so many points where I was laughing, especially during that fucking. I don't know if you were the scene where they just like grab onto the guy with the beer bottle and they're just screaming. That shit was hilarious to me. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, there. This was to me a really fantastic film. Now again, I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's a perfect film or his best, but again, because of what I said, to me and my biases, it's to me subjectively is, but yeah, that's all I really have to say. Again, I could keep going on, but I won't. But yeah, and I guess for my rating, I mean, again, objectively speaking, if I would give it a rating objectively, it's around like a 9. But because of that, I'll give it like a 10. And what about you?
Failing you. I think I would give this movie 8 out of 10.
Nice.
Considering it's horror, it's a quite high score for
Yeah, no,
me.
I thought it would be lower, so wow, that's good.
I enjoyed it, and I think it's a well-made movie. So yeah, not as good as Killer of the Flower Moon, but enjoyable nonetheless.
Yeah.
Now, I suggest we finish off with the only good show among the three. You can already guess which one I'm thinking of, right?
Okay. Yes, I know which one you're thinking of. Well, I mean, look, Runaways had moments, all right.
Ah, bro.
But okay. But anyway, so
Agent
Agents of
Carter
Shield.
and Runaway were both really bad.
Yeah, Agent Carter. Let's just fucking Jesus Christ.
Okay,
Okay, so Agents of
let's
Shield.
no, we will finish with Agents of Shield. We will
Okay.
keep like the treat in the end, like the candy, the feeling
Okay.
good for the end. So let's start off with the masterpiece that's Runaway. Like
Okay.
we will
So by the
gradually
way,
step up every
okay.
floor, you know.
Well, by the way, I just did want to say though, so for Runaways, this was actually the when when Disney Plus and other streaming services decided to try to start removing things from their streaming service to cut down costs on things. Yeah, this was the first like quote unquote big show, or at least like one connected to an IP or franchise such as Marvel that was taken off on Disney Plus. It was Runaways, I believe.
Why am I not surprised, bro?
Yes, and apparently there are people who are actually sad about it. Like this has a sort. It doesn't have a big like cult fan base or anything, but
Ow.
it has cult fans who
Ow. I don't
enjoy
get
it.
it.
Well,
Ow.
what I will say is, I mean, it's I can understand if this is like relatable to younger people with the setup, and I also think the premise and ideas in it are intriguing. But I mean, the show it fails at all of them. It fails on pretty much all fronts. I think the pilot was kind of promising, but after that, it fails to deliver on almost everything. It's just the characters aren't intriguing to me. I don't like any of them or care about any of them. They try to make them like kind of a bit different or like likable, like for you to care about them, but I don't. Um, and the writing sucks in this. It's like it takes place with like 6 teenagers. Well, it feels like it was written by teenagers as well, and with the conflicts and everything, it's like, again, I like the setup, but goddamn, there's no talent that fucking did this show, and goddamn. Also, I love how one of the when I search up the show Runaways, I love how one of the things is, can a 12-year-old watch Runaways? Because yeah, that's, I guess, the brain capacity you need to have. I'm sure a 12-year-old can, but fucking hell, yeah. It's just like it tries to do so many things for the shows, and it does it for the worst. It's like it tries to juggle too many things instead of making sure it nails at least one of them for its own good. And uh, and it doesn't really do a good job at like explaining, the whole thing with it, which is, about wielding power for both good and wrong. It doesn't really do a good job at depicting that at all. The actors suck. All the technical and filmmaking things I didn't care for. It sucked. It felt like one of those low budget streaming service sitcoms. That's what it feels like visually and technically and all those things. And yeah, this was just a mess. And yeah, I have nothing really else to say. But and also for the record, again this week, I know I've been lazy with it, and I promise maybe if I get more back into it, stop being tired, and have more time, I'll start doing it again, maybe. But once again, I didn't really have time to like pay attention to the episodes, like what would be my favorite three and worst three in all the shows. So I probably won't be doing that. So apologies, but I had to keep my brain cells intact anyway with this shit. So anyway, what did you think though?
So I've never seen that show before, and I haven't missed anything. Um, that's funny because my experience with Marvel TV shows, I haven't seen any of the D plus shows because I don't give a shit about Phase 5 or 4 whatsoever. So my experience with Marvel is Daredevil, but basically all Netflix shows. Agents of Shield because I did see the entire show, and The Gifted. But The Gifted I kind of dropped out midway through season 1 because I kind of learned that the show got canceled. Oh, okay, whatever. Um, but Runaways, man, we hit new lows. Remember last week when we covered the Inhuman and I said it's near rock bottom? This one
Yeah.
is right there, right beside Inhuman.
Yeah, well, that's look. This is actually one thing that I'm going to credit. I'm going to credit Inhumans for because at the very least, they canceled it after one season and didn't waste their time. This shit has 3 seasons, so
So, okay. I will ask the writer who thought it was a good idea to have 20 characters in a 10 episode season.
I don't know. The fucking
I'm really asking, bro. I'm not joking. I did count the main characters. There's like 20 plus of them. Six
damn.
teenagers, their parents. So this is 6 plus 12.
Yeah,
18.
I don't know. Maybe
18.
this is something Kevin Feige would do. He would be like, okay, probably our characters will suck. Well, you know what? Let's times the amount by like 10. Maybe we'll hit the lottery with one of them. Maybe like one will be good out of 100. Who knows?
18 freaking character.
And were any of them good?
No! I am writing a novel. I bring this up a lot because I bring this up a lot. I'm a writer, and my novel I work on right now has 6 main characters for 9 chapters. Now, there's more like plot device characters here and there to just drive the story further, but the focus is on 6 characters. And even there, even if I spend as much time to flesh them out, I still left a few of them behind on a few story beats. Because you cannot focus on every single character and make it interesting in one story. It's just very challenging. That's why when you got like shows with large cast, it's really hard like to give something meaningful to everyone. And coming into my writing process, I knew not all of the 6 character would get material early in the story. So I'm a writer. I know the struggle. I see this show, I lose my mind. 20 freaking character. And you know, the only character I remember, it's not because she is good. It's because she's unsufferable and I cannot stand her. And I hope she get deleted in season 2 or 3. But hey, no, that won't happen. But I can only guess and bet you know which character I'm talking about. Do you know which character I'm talking about, Cole?
Honestly, no.
The unsufferable feminist. This is
Never
all they
mind.
called her. And this is what she is. She gets on my nerve. She feels like an insert from one of the writer in the writers team, and that better writer that in high school she was rejected by the guys, and now she has that fantasy that um she would uh uh s around um with the cool guy, the model guy. And this is what happened in freaking episode 8 or 9, I can't remember, but the one where they thought, oh, we would all die, so we just met in that closet and we kissed. This is really bad. Everyone needs a relationship. I lost brain cell. I lost any will to live. Um, okay, let's dive deep into my issues. I have my notes right now. So, issue number 1, characters are forgettable. The sole fact that the unsufferable activist is the only character I can remember is sad. Because I hate that character. um, Too many character. I mentioned it, 20 for like 10 episodes. It's a joke. Like, we basically spent half an hour per character. As simple as that. It's not enough. Next up, characters are just plot device because they are forgettable and all they serve is let's drive the story further. Most of these characters, they got the same character arc or they realized their parents were not who they were, or what I should say, their parents were not what they thought they were. So this is basically a coming of age story, but it's handled by stupid people and it's driven by stupid character, so it's not really good. Um, and none of these characters have meaningful character arc on their own. They just do stuff because the story wants them to do stuff. It's like, okay, whatever. Um, the dialogue is cringe and bashing. I lose brain cell each time these characters speak. And you know what's funny? I was watching this and I was like, I get Gotham Knight flashbacks. I can only bet um, teenagers were the target audience. Um, and if I ever have kids, they will never see this show because this show is horrendous. I
Yeah, this
will
was
make sure
definitely
they
the
stay
target
away from
audience.
it.
I mean, that's the only way why this would have cult fans. I mean, it has to be just like for fucking teenagers.
They will lose brain cells, so no thanks. I will show my kids the way. Don't watch
Yeah,
this shit.
Jesus Christ. I mean, well, if it's between this and like a watching a Logan Paul video, then I mean, I guess I would choose this over it, but that would be about the limit. Maybe I would just abort them instead, I guess.
The pacing was horrendous. So many filler. episode. I can bet I can poke more holes in that story in that show if I rewatch it.
Yeah, well, since this is for like the people with the who are teens or like the brain capacity of teens, they have a bunch of filler episodes because it's just like it can be just like your sitcom pretty much where it's fine if nothing happens because it all goes out their brain the next day anyway.
Lots of humor didn't land. Um, I wasn't laughing, and they were trying so hard to be funny. I'm worried now. Um, you know what's very funny is the average episode is slightly better than Inhuman, but that's not really Ibar. But the entire show is worse. When you really put the pieces together, you're like, bruh, this is dog shit. I look at my notes right now, and the average is between 5 and 7 for one episode, which is more than um, Inhuman. But the overall season is just unwatchable. It's worst. There are like a few episodes I'm like, okay, that's not that bad. It's fine. Um, okay, so what do you think is my least favorite episode?
Again, I wouldn't know. I didn't keep track of them.
Okay, so then I will just mention it. Episode 9 was horrendous. I tried really hard to find stuff I liked, and the only two thing I came up with was like flashback and the girl. And this is hilarious because this was basically almost She-Hulk bad. Um, so I had so many issues with that episode. The teenager drama got on my nerve. The dialogue was bad. The pacing was bad. The unsufferable character and the other one being a thing doesn't make sense. Feels like the writer were dreaming of that and they just insert themselves there. I don't care about any of the relationship in that show because I don't care about the characters. Not funny, the dialogue. And to go back to what I said, early in the show, he was being a jerk with her. He basically stood her up for a party or something. And why would she like lash on that guy? Why would she pine over that guy that stood her up? And early in the season, like um he was trying to get back at her and she was like not really interested, but suddenly with episode 9 for some reason she is into him again. It's like, wait, something happened that I don't know of, like it happened off screen and there was build up off screen or what. I don't know. It just makes it worse when I think about it. This is terrible. This show is an abomination. So episode 9 for me was a freaking 4, and I feel generous. And I just realized episode 10 was actually worst. um, I had less issues, but I tapped out of the episode like maybe 5-10 minutes in. Um, and I freaking gave that episode a 3 because it was awful. And the ending when they run at the sunset because they're runaways. Bruh! What happened? What happened? Why? Why? No, this show is awful. Now I will admit I did like episode 6. I was shocked that I wasn't able to poke more holes in it because I really tried hard to poke more holes in it. But episode 6 was the only two issues I had was dialogue isn't all that great, and the love triangle was set up and it got on my nerve. Um, the flashback were cool and well made. The lore was nice. Um, so yeah, I thought episode 6 was actually decent, but that's like the only good episode in that show. Like The rest is from average to bad. um, yeah, this show is just really bad. Um, I think I would give a 3.5 out of 10, just like Inhuman. What about you, Cole?
Well, I gave Inhumans like a 1.5, and this I'm gonna give like a 2.5.
Okay, bruh, like this show is just really bad. I don't understand what they were thinking when they made it. What they were thinking.
I don't know, but they were just trying to make content for outside of the MCU, I guess. So they just came up with this like it's something that can be closed off, I guess, easily, and whatever.
Okay.
Try to get a new demographic.
Um. So yeah. I guess next up would be Agent Boring.
Yeah, and also I'm just gonna be yeah something popped up, and I need to leave in like around 15 minutes or even like 10 minutes. So if we could try to hurry up with this, I guess.
Okay. Maybe we could cover agents. Well, actually, yeah. Okay, Agent Carter. I think I can speed run that.
I mean, yeah, listen, I'm going to be quick on it anyway. Agent Carter, yeah, I thought was bad. I don't understand. I don't even understand the point of this show. Like everything with the story and the characters, I thought was just pointless and boring and stupid. And there's a lot of interesting things you could do with an Agent Carter show like this, but I thought all the things they came up with were shit and literally the opposite of like creative things you could do, right? Like the one fucking like the one episode in What If with it was better alone than this. Like I thought it was just completely bland with everything how it was made and everything written. I thought the performances were just lackluster as hell, and I thought any action bits or whatnot were lame. And yeah, I really wasn't a fan of this show at all. And at least Runaways, it was memorable. Bad, but it wasn't at all. I'm already forgetting everything kind of about it while talking. So, and I forgot how many seasons of this they made. I don't know if it's like
It
two
got canceled
seasons or
after
more.
two
I
seasons.
forgot. Okay, well at least that's good. It's
I
shorter than
think.
Runaways.
Maybe I'm wrong. I think.
Yeah, Runaways is 3 seasons, but anyway, so what did you think?
Okay, so overall, I thought that was fine. That wasn't great. That wasn't bad for me. My issues were dialogue wasn't always great. There was a lot of girl power moment, and I'm fine with that if it's well written. And I will bring my novel again. In my novel, there's a character that at first glances is a sexist, but I flesh out the character well enough so there's an explanation and there's a lore explanation as well to defend his behavior and stuff and part of the character arc of the main character or the character involved in that story is let's overcome that adversity. So like this is fine, but it's like a subplot in my novel, right? And I feel like in this show it was a bit more than a subplot. Like it was always something creeping around. Like Carter was always played as that victim of the patriarchy. And in my novel, I at no point I depict the woman as a victim of the patriarchy. And I just think it's wrong when you have that girl power message and you're like, oh, they are victims. So yeah, I just cannot stand behind it. So yeah, the dialogue sometimes kind of bothered me. Um, like yeah. Next up would be fight choreography wasn't always on point. There were point where I'm like, bruh, how can she flip that guy? He's a fat guy, like 300 pounds, and she's like 150 if if I give her room to be muscular, you know. But most of the time, it was working well. But like that example I gave is just one of many. Pacing wasn't that great. Outside of outside of Carter, character were all bad. I thought Carter was likable. She was great. She was well written, but some of the dialogue was just horrendous, and all of the other side characters were really bad. Like Howard is just a womanizer, and I'm like, bruh, it's like, is it a parody or is it real? Um, as I said, there are some really good episodes. Well, I look at the grades I gave. I think the overall episodes are solid most of the time, but it's more like the creeping issues every episode and the overall product that we got. It wasn't perfect, like not at all. And for me, this is a 7 out of 10. That was average. It wasn't painful. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was just another show. What did you think? What was your grade out of 10?
My grade is a 4 out of 10.
Okay. Very interesting. So, last topic, Agents of Shield.
Agents of Shield, yes. Okay, so first I'm just going to say quickly, I do think Agents of Shield is actually, well, it's conflicting, but I do think it's better earlier on, and I think this is when it was had a lot of fans and was actually received well and had a lot of advertising by Marvel and such, and that's because it was still supposed to be canon at this time with the other things and connected and stuff. But as the MCU went along and they made more changes, it started being not canon, and it really harmed the show later on, and had a lot of things make no sense, and had them change things. Like there was even a moment where there was a season finale teaser at the end of something that leads to something in the MCU, but then in the next season it turns out to be something else because they had to change it because of that. So unfortunately, it's not really their fault, but because of that, unfortunately, it got worse and had a lot of stupid things over time because of that, and it also hurt the overall story and writing in general and with the characters in the later seasons, in my opinion. So it just got worse in general. So yeah, that sucks, and we'll see what you think when we watch more of it later on. I guess, but early on though, and with this first season and such show, I do think it was I wasn't too into it. I don't like love it or anything. I don't think it's great, but I do think it's they did a competent job with the first season and such, and I think the writing was pretty solid, and the characters and acting were pretty solid, and they did their job, and with making you at least invest, easily invest into them and care, you know, and I think the storylines and such, and the set designs and everything going on was pretty interesting at a lot of points as well. There were definitely other points where it dragged on, but overall, I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed this first season overall. Even though I don't think it's the greatest, show ever, or the greatest seasons ever. Like I wasn't the biggest fan with this, in the first place, but I still think it, is solid. But what did you think?
I had a blast, and this is funny because last year was actually the first time I was watching this show. I've seen it from season 1 to 7, and that was the first time I really got around watching the entire thing. I did watch a few episodes of season 1 when the show first came out, but I had so much going on at that point. I never really got into finishing it, and I really finished it last year. So this year it's a rewatch. I still remember pretty much everything that happens in most of the show, outside of maybe season 6 that I want to forget because that season is horrendous. Um, but on a rewatch, season 1 actually got slightly better for me because I know where they want the character to be at in future installment. and in future storylines. And I think the setup, the seeds, and the foundation of the show are really good. And on a rewatch, it's even better. Is it perfect? No. Um, I still have a few issues, and they're basically the same as last year when I've seen the show for the first time. But with a better understanding, it doesn't affect the show much more than it used to. Um, the only thing that got slightly worse is maybe the fillers, because now you know which episodes are filler. Um, so I mentioned my first issue now. Some of the episodes are filler, and the first season it's really one big storyline of like 22 episodes with maybe like 5 or 6 fillers, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. Some of the fillers are enjoyable, but some are like, nah, not really good. 15 is awful. um Episode 2 is awful. These two are like rock bottom for the show, but outside of these two that are really duds, the rest makes sense. The rest is entertaining. The rest is fun. And we got great episode as well. Um, so yeah, character amazing. Some of the humor doesn't always land. I specify some because I did laugh more than rolled my eyes. There's a lot of really good humor in it, but they throw so much humor in it that you notice it when some of the jokes don't land, because there's just that many good jokes and you're laughing, and then suddenly, yeah, it's not funny anymore. um what else? I said filler, dialogue. Sometimes individual episode do have plot convenience and weaker storytelling here and there. Um, but the entire season as one thing is really smart. The writing was on point. Um, the other issue I would have is Fitz um, and I forgot her name, the girl scientist, um, Simon, I think. I can't remember, but okay, I understand why there are two. They wanted these two to bounce over each other to give exposition and lore dump, and this is cool, but you don't feel like they are both needed around. If they keep them around, it's to have these character bounce off each other, so it's like a thought bubble. It's like giving a window to their minds. And that's fine. I understand that was the point of having these two together. They also wanted to make somewhat of a relationship eventually in the show. But they are basically two characters that are almost the same. And it feels like they're just wasting space. It's sad to say because I still like these characters. They're still really enjoyable. But these two don't feel needed. One of the two could work. One of the two could do the work expected from one of the two. But no, we got two because we need that thought bubble. So that's a very niche nitpick I got there. But yeah, outside of that, the villains are really cool. Uh, the double agents, at that point in season one, having double agents is entertaining. It's cool. It's a new idea, and when you have seen the show once, you kind of see the foreshadowing from the get go when they planned and mapped out the show. I think they knew that at some point Ward would be the villain and it would be a double agent. It's not something they just sent there for shock value. It's something they did set up and wrote very well in the story. And It's wonderful. You only catch that on a rewatch where you're like, they actually thought this through. Um, Coulson, amazing character, and every character in the cast get growth at some point. They all have their piece of the cake, and this is very enjoyable. Now, since we are near the end, I will ask you, what do you think is my top three and worst three episodes this season?
Once again, I'm sorry. Listen, next week I'll try to do so, but this week I just couldn't. I didn't have time.
Okay, so
Forgot to taste it.
my worst three would be episode 2, episode 15, and episode 13. 13 was a 8 out of 10 for me. Um, that was a good episode, but it was one of these filler, if I remember correctly, or maybe not. Maybe I had other issues with it. Um, I think that's the train one where the train vanishes. I'm pretty sure that's the one. Outside of that, I said it 15 filler dog shit crap where everyone is mind controlled, and we got stuff like that in Smallville, and that was done better. And I remember even last year when I was watching the second episode, I was wondering what I was watching. Episode 2 is just horrendous. There's so many holes you can poke at. It's just an awful episode. It's a huge mistake. Um, Otherwise, I actually have a top five because they are all on par. They are all really, really strong. So I got 21, which is ranging. Um, 17, turn. 16, end of the beginning. 12, because it got emotional. I really like that. And nothing personal would be another of these five. Uh, Another very fun fact on this rewatch, 11 episode, which is half of the season, was for me 10 out of 10. It's the other half that's not 10 out of 10, you know.
Damn, really,
Yeah,
11 or 10 round.
that season has really a lot of solid episode. And this is funny because what I liked with season 2 and upward, even in the weakest season, they separated the season into two storyline usually, and that was great. So season 2 will have other stuff I liked, but I think it will be a downgrade if it's as what I remembered last year. Anyway, season 1, huge fan. I think I would give to the entire season the same grade I gave last year, which is a 9 out of 10. I don't think it's any worse. I don't think it's any better. I liked it more because now I knew the character. Now I I know what's going on and what will happen next. But it's good. I liked season 1 with a solid 9 out of 10. What about you, Cole?
I would probably give this a 6 out of 10. I enjoyed it and I thought it did a solid job. I'm not as big on it as other people, but I do think it was solid. And
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I think
I
the
forgot
some of the
something
other
funny.
seasons are too. Oh yeah,
I
what?
forgot I forgot to mention another issue I had a lot. Plot armor on everyone. They fought so many
Ah,
times these people that can break their limbs, but hey, no.
damn.
But
Fair
yeah,
enough, but yeah.
it's still
No,
nine for me.
I have to go now. I'm sorry for like rushing this, but yeah, something came up. Um, but
Okay,
listen, I just
have a
want
good
to
one, man.
yeah. So I guess yeah, just quickly though. Before I leave, okay, so Garrett didn't show up, but I just want you to just make sure to like let him know that whenever he can show up again in the future, he can we can let him like rediscuss any films that we at any point already covered, such as Clockwork Orange or anything else. Like that's fine if he wants to. If we didn't get to another stream, so just let him know that in DMs, but also let him know that next week we'll be, I believe, covering One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest because he really likes that film a lot as well.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming again. You're amazing, Cole. And I think we will end this here.